Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. I'm a Saiyan and you're saying that I don't have any bloodline limits. Chapter 61. In an extremely luxuriously decorated room, Yi-Fan, Jiraiya, Uzumaki Naruto, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Uchiha Itachi, and Ingeki Kisame each found a seat to sit. Jiraiya sat on the main seat, and Yi-Fan sat opposite him. Uchiha Itachi and Mikigaki Kisame, seeing this seating order, instantly understood what Yi-Fan meant when he told them that Konoha was different. On the large square table, there are various kinds of food and pastries, and several people are sitting around the table. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Uchiha Itachi with a very complicated expression on his face and mixed feelings in his heart. He opened his mouth to say something, but not even a word came out. In comparison, Uchiha Itachi's expression looked much calmer. Meeting Sarutobi Hiruzen again after so many years did not cause too many waves in his heart. Compared to Sarutobi Hiruzen, Uchiha Itachi was more concerned about Sasuke's situation at this time. After a few seconds of silence, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Mark and said, "I have rented this room for a long time, specifically for you. If you find it comfortable, you can always live here. Go out." Yi-Fan lowered his head and gnawed on the chicken feet, and spoke without raising his head. His tone was so calm that it was scary. Well, Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't expect to get such an answer. His face instantly turned red and he wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into. He still wanted to say something, but then he saw Mark's eyes without any emotion falling on him. Seeing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen had no choice but to leave with a wry smile. When leaving, he kept telling them that if they needed anything, just let him know. As long as Konoha had it, they would definitely do it. No one paid attention to his words from beginning to end. Even Jiraiya didn't say anything. What Sarutobi Hiruzen did before had deeply broken his heart. After Sarutobi Hiruzen left, Yi-Fan looked at everyone and said with a smile, "Everyone, eat quickly. The taste of these dishes is really good, especially the chicken feet, they are so delicious." Except for Yi-Fan and Naruto who kept picking up dishes, the others didn't seem to have much appetite. After a long silence, Jiraiya spoke. "Yi-Fan, what happened to the two of them, and when did you leave the village?" After all, Uchiha Itachi and Inagaki Kisame used to be members of the Akatsuki organization. Facing someone from such a notorious organization, Jiraiya had to take it seriously. And among these two people, there was one who massacred the entire Uchiha clan, the SSS-level rebel nin of Konoha Hidden Village, Uchiha Itachi. Listening to this question, Uzumaki Naruto, who had been asked by Mark to eat more, gradually put down the chopsticks in his hands. His eyes suddenly fell on Uchiha Itachi. Except for the awkward chicken feet in his mouth, everything else looked extremely solemn. Yi-Fan wiped his fingers. "Kaido. Jiraiya, the two of them are quite weak. Under certain circumstances, they can help me do something. If you want to change this world that is completely cursed by hatred, and bring a world where everyone can understand each other, you and I alone cannot do it." Then, Yi-Fan explained many things to Jiraiya, and also told all the reasons why Uchiha Itachi wanted to massacre the village. Everyone was very shocked when they saw Yi-Fan talking as if he was experiencing it personally. Especially Uchiha Itachi. "I thought it was third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen who told Yi-Fan, but now it seems that it is not at all." Those things seemed to have been discovered by Yi-Fan alone. For a time, Yi-Fan's figure seemed even more mysterious in Uchiha Itachi's heart. This man is so powerful that there seems to be no upper limit, knows countless secrets, and possesses all kinds of secret treasures. He is like a god who knows everything and is omnipotent. After Jiraiya and the others heard the secret about Uchiha Itachi, a sadness suddenly arose in their hearts. He let out a long sigh and said, "This world should indeed change." After hearing this secret, Naruto hurriedly asked, "Brother Yi-Fan, do you mean that Itachi actually loves Sasuke in his heart?" The reason why he was so cruel to Sasuke just now was because Itachi wanted to use Sasuke to hate himself, so as to gain stronger power, enough to protect himself. While speaking, Naruto's eyes kept wandering between Yi-Fan and Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Itachi didn't speak when he heard the words, but Yi-Fan nodded directly. Seeing that Uchiha Itachi didn't refute at all, Naruto had the answer in his heart. For a moment, he had mixed feelings and said with emotion, They say Sasuke is a talented boy who bears the name of Uchiha, but he seems so insignificant compared to you. Uchiha Itachi looked at a few people and said, "Please don't tell Sasuke about this, please." Everyone nodded at the same time, and they did not want to see Uchiha Itachi's good intentions ruined in one day. Moreover, if he told Uchiha Sasuke like this, it would probably drive him crazy. Judging from Sasuke's current ability to bear it, he simply cannot accept and bear such a truth. Thank you all. Uchiha Itachi stood up and bowed to everyone. Since seeing from Yi-fan that there is still hope in this world, Itachi's character has also undergone some slight changes without realizing it. Yi-fan looked at Uchiha Itachi's worried look and said, "Don't worry, I just exerted a little force. Sasuke's life is not in danger. After lying in bed for 2 or 3 months, he will be able to get out of bed and walk." While talking, Yi-fan handed Uchiha a bunch of sweet meatballs. After hearing Yi-fan's words, Uchiha Itachi was relieved a lot. At least Sasuke was not disabled or anything like that. This was already the best result. Itachi took a bite of the sweet meatballs, and the image of a girl appeared in his mind, which made him even more determined. Let the world that Yi-fan and Jiraiya talk about come to this world cursed by hatred. After leaving the village last night, I plan to clear some obstacles first. The reason why I chose to come back first is because I have something to give to you, Jiraiya. Quote. While talking, Yi-fan took out a book-like secret book from his bag. On the cover of the secret book, 3 words were written in flying colors, Guixiangliu. Before coming back last night, Yi-fan had read this book. Originally, when this book was in his mind, all the skills recorded in it were activated by Qi. But, the moment he took it out, it all turned into a method of practicing Kamazen Ryu skills using chakra. This made Yi-fan very surprised. Originally, he planned to let Jiraiya study on his own whether they could practice, but this change undoubtedly gave Yi-fan a surprise. Jiraiya took the secret book and looked through it carefully. The more he read, the more shocked he became. The training methods recorded in Kamazen Ryu are methods that have never appeared in the entire ninja world, and they seem to be many times more sophisticated than today's methods. It seems that what is recorded on the Turtle Senryu is the truly correct method of cultivation. Sun Fist, 10,000 Kingdoms Shocking Palm, Turtle-style Qigong Wave. These things are simply unheard of. Especially this Turtle-style Qigong Wave, it seems to be tailor-made for Naruto. Jiraiya was amazed. The cultivation method recorded above was simply superior to today's methods. Later, Jiraiya asked, Yi-fan, where did you get this thing? Yi-fan chuckled and made up a random reason. I picked it up in the cave last night. Jiraiya, please study it carefully. Although Jiraiya didn't quite believe this, he didn't ask any more questions. Since childhood, he has discovered that Yi-fan hides many secrets, and he has never asked about any of them. Pervy Sage, the turtle-style Qigong waves are tailor-made for me. When Naruto heard this, he quickly ran over and stared at it, and asked casually. Brother Yi-fan, do you know the turtle-style Qigong wave? How powerful is it? Is it big? Yi-fan smiled and said, the power is pretty good, it's pretty big. When Naruto heard this, he immediately became interested and asked. Is Sasuke's fire style as powerful as it is? Can I beat him if I learn it? Yi-fan, I don't know if it can be defeated, but death is absolutely certain. Naruto, you should learn it first and see. Once you learn it, you will know it. Brother Yi-fan, can you demonstrate to us the turtle-style Qigong wave? Let us see how powerful it is. After everyone heard this question, their eyes all fell on Mark. Jiraiya was even more hopeful. After all, what was recorded in the Kame Senryu was all based on chakra cultivation methods, and there was no chakra in Yi-fan's body at all. Yi-fan smiled helplessly. I won't demonstrate the turtle-style Qigong wave, but I can demonstrate the Sun Fist. Everyone, be sure to squint your eyes, especially Itachi, and don't open the Sharingan. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi-fan used the Sun Fist. In an instant, the whole room was filled with white light. This white light was dozens of times more dazzling than the sun. Even if everyone squinted their eyes, they were still blurred and almost went blind. Yi-fan glanced at Naruto, who had his eyes closed tightly, and raised the corners of his mouth, preparing to ask Nine Tails to pay Naruto some rent in advance. As soon as Yi Fan thought, the energy in his body overflowed and entered Naruto's spiritual world. As soon as he came in, a huge black shadow and a pair of blood-red eyes appeared in Yi Fan's field of vision. Boy, who are you? You dare to disturb my sleep. Do you want to die? The huge black shadow swings its 9 tails, exuding an extremely large and oppressive chakra. In the spiritual world of Naruto Uzumaki, 9 Tails, who was awakened by Yi Fan, was very angry, showing his ferocious minions, opening his bloody mouth and roaring continuously. Chakra, surging and filled with terror, constantly overflowed from the body and filled the 8-sign seal. Boom! 9 Tails raised its claws and slapped the pillars in front of Mark hard, causing the pillars to vibrate. Kid, you disturbed me when I was sleeping, did you know that? If it weren't for this broken seal, I would definitely slap you into a pulp. 9 Tails clenched his fists tightly, and his pupils were filled with blood-red light, looking very penetrating. If a timid person saw this scene, he might be scared to death. But it is a pity that Yi Fan is not timid, and on the contrary, he is extremely bold. Hey, I can't tell you're still angry about getting up. Yi Fan looked at 9 Tails up and down with a smile on his face. Having been in close contact with 9 Tails, he could clearly feel the majestic chakra contained in 9 Tails' body. Compared with the 1-tail Shukaku he had seen, this level of chakra was simply in the sky and on the ground, not on the same latitude at all. 9 Tails has such a large amount of chakra, no wonder it can defeat the other 8-tailed beasts at the same time with only half its body. Kid, get out of Naruto's spiritual world quickly, or I will kill you right away. 9 Tails held the pillar in front of him tightly with both hands, and pressed his huge head against the gap. At this time, Yi Fan could clearly feel 9 Tails' breath hitting him. However, it is just pure breath and does not carry any chakra. Under the perception of Chi, Yi Fan discovered that all the chakra of 9 Tails were sealed inside by the 8-sign seal. You brat, get out of here. As soon as 9 Tails saw Yi Fan's nonchalant look, he couldn't suppress the anger in his heart and slapped the seal with all his strength. This look was so familiar that he would never forget it. Once, when Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara faced it, they used Yi Fan's eyes like this now. Moreover, 9 Tails also felt that Yi Fan's eyes were more disdainful and arrogant than Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. When thinking of the past, the image of Senju Hashirama appeared in 9 Tails' mind. The man who looked a little silly and sweet, clapped his hands and a Buddha appeared on top, grabbing his body with one hand. He even shamelessly said, 9 Tails, you are too strong, I must seal you. When thinking of this, 9 Tails felt extremely aggrieved. You know, there are 999 hands like that. 9 Tails, don't be too grumpy. Being too grumpy is not good for your health. Yi Fanyan said calmly, what did you say just now? Without the obstruction of 8-sign seal, you are going to make me into a piece of meat, right? Okay, I'll give you this opportunity now. Yi Fan, who was standing outside the 8-sign seal, slowly disappeared. When he appeared again, he was already standing within the 8-sign seal. After entering 8-sign seal, Yi Fan discovered that the space inside was actually very large. It seemed to be as big as 30 or 40 football fields. Come on, 9 Tails, let me see how powerful you, Naruto's little pet, are. Should I be louder or stronger? 9 Tails' eyes widened, never expecting that Yi Fan could really enter the 8-sign seal. Staring at the arrogant young man in front of him, 9 Tails was so angry that he raised his hand and slapped Yi Fan. This slap was done with all its strength. As soon as he saw Yi Fan's look in his eyes, 9 Tails couldn't control his body. In an instant, an extremely manic atmosphere filled the world, as if the end of the world was coming. As soon as Yi Fan saw the extremely terrifying chakra on the huge fox claw coming towards him to suppress, he couldn't help but become a little excited. This level of power is far beyond what Uchiha Itachi and Inagaki Kisame can compare to. The giant claw fell very quickly, setting off an extremely powerful wind. Yi Fan stood motionless on the spot, letting the strong wind blow his hair away. Kid, I want you to pay the price for your arrogance and give me a hard time. 9 Tails roared angrily, and its giant claws were about to fall on Yi Fan in an instant. Yi Fan smiled slightly, slowly raised his right hand, and then slowly stretched out a finger. The huge claw wrapped in a large amount of chakra fell with a crash. Ninetales' eyes already showed joy, but his joy did not last for half a second before it was immediately replaced by shock and fear. This. How is this possible? This kid blocked my full blow with just one finger. This is not true. It must not be true. I must not have woken up yet. Ninetales couldn't believe that all of this was true. He couldn't believe that there would be humans with such power in this world. Ninetales, you are indeed as strong as first Hokage Senju Hashirama said. Yi Fan nodded, took back his finger and flicked it hard. In an instant, Ninetales' body flew out uncontrollably and hit the 8 sign seal hard. After landing, Ninetales looked at his trembling paws and shook his head. Impossible, absolutely impossible, I have to use one hand to seal Senju Hashirama. How could I be defeated by this brat with just one finger? Ninetales, don't you want to make me into a piece of meat? Now you have the opportunity, you have to seize it. Before he finished speaking, Yi Fan's figure appeared in front of Ninetales like a ghost. Compared with this, Yi Fan's figure is like an ant, but Ninetales cannot withstand Yi Fan's offensive. Yi Fan raised his hand and punched Ninetales' body, and Ninetales' body flew backwards again. This time, more than a dozen bones on Ninetales' body were broken. The intense pain made Ninetales grit his teeth. Kid, don't be too arrogant. The furious Ninetales opened his mouth and began to prepare the tailed beast jade. This time, the speed of preparing the tailed beast jade was faster than ever before. Just in the blink of an eye, an extremely large and extremely destructive tailed beast jade appeared, killing Yi Fan at high speed. Yi Fan looked at this scene and said with a smile, "If you play like this, I will be interested." Yi Fan put up a posture, gradually closed his hands, and the energy in his body continued to gather in his palms. Turtle, Pi, Chi, Gong, Wave. In an instant, a blue beam of light flew out from Yi Fan's hand. It was 10 times more powerful than the tailed beast jade. When the tailed beast jade hits the turtle school Qigong wave, it is like an egg hitting a stone. It dissipates in an instant without leaving any residue behind. Boom! The turtle-style Qigong wave directly knocked Ninetales to the ground, vomiting blood, and his breath became extremely low. Yi Fan slowly walked to Ninetales, his tone as calm as water. Ninetales, you have lived in Naruto's belly for so long, don't be reluctant to let go when it's time to pay the rent. Haha, you don't think you are really immortal, do you? I think you don't want to really die either, right? That's it for now, be more generous in the future. Yi Fan reached out and touched Ninetales' nose, then disappeared. In the real world, Naruto shook his head violently, and he suddenly felt his head buzzing. Yi Fan raised his head and glanced at Jiraiya, and thought to himself, it's time to start the next stop is Yuyin Village. Hiss, what happened to me just now? It was obviously just my eyes that were shaken, why do I feel like my brain is in a mess? Uzumaki Naruto rubbed his temples vigorously, trying to regain some energy. Naruto, maybe you have been under too much stress during this period. Just take a good nap after eating. Yi Fan had a smile on his face, but he still had one sentence he didn't say. That sentence is, you will most likely be able to use Ninetales chakra however you want in the future. Although this way of using Ninetales chakra is not as good as the later Ninetales mode, it is enough for the current Naruto. Is that so? Maybe so. Too many things have happened during this period, and the nerves are indeed a bit tense. Naruto didn't think too much, but praised, Brother Yi Fan, the sun fist you used is too powerful. If I hadn't been prepared in advance, I wouldn't have saved my eyesight. The other people also looked at Yi Fan in great surprise. Before this, they had never heard of anyone using this kind of ninjutsu. Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Kazaki were full of emotions. It seems that Yi Fan retained a lot of things when he fought with them. Moreover, they were very sure that when Yi Fan used Sun Fist just now, he definitely did not use all his strength. They guessed that if they tried their best, even if they closed their eyes, they would not be able to keep their eyes. A thought came into their minds at the same time. If you work with a person like Yi Fan, why can't you do something great? Uchiha Itachi raised the corners of his mouth slightly, revealing a smile. I basically spent the first half of my life in confusion, always looking for the meaning of life. Now it seems that I have found the meaning of my life. Follow Yi Fan and work hard to change the world, whether successful or not, that is the meaning of life. Among everyone present, the person who felt the most shocked was Jiraiya, and the person who felt the most relieved was also Jiraiya. For a long time, Yi Fan's inability to practice ninjutsu has been his biggest worry. But now, Yi Fan has done it and done it better, gaining power that far exceeds that of practicing ninjutsu. Before Yi Fan used the Sun Fist, Jiraiya had been secretly observing Yi Fan. He wanted to see if Yi Fan could condense chakra, but he didn't have time to tell himself yet. But what surprised him was that when Yi Fan used Sun Fist, there was no chakra flowing in his body at all, and some seemed to be a more advanced power. Jiraiya, who watched Yi Fan grow up, smiled like an old father when he saw that Yi Fan had grown up enough to stand alone. This thing is the happiest thing that Jiraiya has felt in so many years. Yi Fan, you stinky boy, you have grown up before you know it. Jiraiya put his arm around Mark's shoulders and laughed and said, I'm happy today, please have a few drinks with me. Afterwards, he also smiled at Uchiha Itachi and Mikigaki Kisame and said, the same goes for you too, we won't come back until we get drunk. After hearing this, Kisame Kazaki picked up his wine glass and responded with a smile. Jiraiya-sama, since you have said so, then I would rather obey your orders than be respectful. I offer you this glass of wine. With a glass full of wine, Kisame drank it all in one gulp without leaving a drop. At this moment, Kisame felt a little emotional, life is so wonderful. In the past, although he had a hostile relationship with Jiraiya, he also respected Jiraiya from the bottom of his heart. However, he never thought that one day he would be able to sit down and drink with Jiraiya. Uchiha Itachi also raised his glass and drank it in one gulp. He didn't even remember how long it had been since he had drank. He was very happy today, to be able to return to Konoha, to be able to see his brother Sasuke, to be able to do something truly meaningful. All of this made Itachi smile that he had not seen for a long time. He had never felt so happy one day in his life. Jiraiya looked at the two people who drank the whole drink and laughed. How generous. It seems that I, Mount Myoboku Toad Sage, can't lag behind. After Jiraiya drank a glass of wine, he looked at Mark and raised his eyebrows and said angrily. You brat, what do you mean? Yi Fan waved his hand and refused. My mother told me not to drink until I am 18. You brat, tell me this now. Didn't your mother tell you that you can't go to the club until you're 18? Just touch your conscience and ask yourself, how much have you spent on me over the years? Every time you go to the club to find girls, to collect information, you have a great time. Jiraiya's face was full of black lines, he punched Yi Fan on the head and cursed angrily. Every time I tell you to pay, when it's time to check out, there's not even a ghost in sight. When Yi Fan heard this, he quickly covered his head and begged for mercy. I drink, isn't it okay? Do you need to slander my reputation like this? I was forced by you, okay. In fact, I refused in my heart. Yi Fan glanced at Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Kazaki, who had incredible expressions on their faces, thinking that his image was completely ruined. Seeing the way Jiraiya and Mark got along, Itachi and Kisame felt that their views were shattered. Where is that man who fights with an air of invincibility, acts with an aura of indifference, and wants to change the whole world? Pervy Sage, brother Yi Fan, what are you talking about collecting materials from the club? I want to go too. Naruto found it very interesting when he heard it, and couldn't help but yearn for it. Jiraiya laughed loudly when he heard this. Naruto, when I take you out to practice, I will take you there. While speaking, Jiraiya's eyes wandered over Naruto's purse. Really, pervy sage, then you have to take me to have some fun. I have to set a small goal for myself and go to 100 stores first. Naruto put his hands on his hips, thinking that the clubhouse was some kind of training place. As soon as these words came out, the room burst into laughter. For a moment, Naruto was a little confused and asked, isn't the club's collection of materials not training? When everyone heard this, they laughed again. After Yi Fan told Naruto that it was indeed a place for training, Naruto didn't think much about it. While pushing cups and changing cups, everyone has different expressions and different ideas. Uchiha Itachi was thinking about when he and Sasuke could sit together and have a meal like this. Kisame Kazaki, who was already slightly tipsy, thought of Metkai whom he met at the entrance of the village. There seemed to be a special magic power on Metkai's body, attracting Kisame Kazaki. Everyone in the room was drinking happily, but in various places outside the room, they were discussing Uchiha Itachi's return to the village. However, everyone was discussing, but they were not worried that something would happen to the village. The vast majority of people believed in Jiraiya and Sarutobi Hiruzen from the bottom of their hearts. I thought that since they brought it into the village personally, there must be no problem. Compared with this matter, they were actually more curious about how Yi-fan did it to make Uchiha Itachi respect him so much. After drinking for 3 rounds, Yi-fan and Jiraiya talked about some things to do next. Jiraiya told him to be careful in everything and to put his own life first at all times. If you can beat me, fight; if you can't beat me, run away. Jiraiya also told Mark his plan, preparing to go out to find Tsunade early tomorrow morning. A country cannot live without a king for a day, and it is not the same thing to have Sarutobi Hiruzen acting as Hokage all the time. Jiraiya's thoughts coincided with Mark's, and both of them decided to leave the village early tomorrow morning. This meal lasted until the evening. Before the party ended, Jiraiya brought a cup. Cheers to our common goal. May we succeed as soon as possible and bring true peace to the ninja world. Cheers. In the Kamui space, although Uchiha Obito's aura is still sluggish, fortunately he has finally repaired his body. As soon as his body was repaired, he went to Yuyan village non-stop to look for Pain. He knew deep down in his heart that collecting tailed beasts must be put on the agenda, and he couldn't delay it for a moment. Yuyan village, among the tall buildings. A blue-haired woman with a pretty face stood side by side with a man with a stick stuck in his face. The two of them stood by the windowsill, listening to the sound of raindrops hitting the eaves outside. The two of them said nothing, just looked at the scenery outside the house quietly. They can see this kind of scene every day, and they have already become accustomed to this feeling. After a long time, the blue-haired girl turned to look at the man, with a trace of nostalgia in her eyes. The blue-haired girl looked deeply at the man in front of her, the corners of her mouth slightly raised, not knowing what she was thinking. Suddenly, a spatial fluctuation flashed through the room, attracting their attention. In this regard, the two people's emotions did not fluctuate much, and it seemed that this was not the first time they had seen each other. Konan, Nagato. A man wearing a mask appeared out of thin air, and the Sharingan under the mask was particularly eye-catching. The person who came was none other than Uchiha Obito. Madara, you are such a rare visitor. What brought you here today? You actually have time to come here in person. Konan spoke expressionlessly, with a hint of defensiveness towards the man in front of him. When Uchiha Obito heard this, he knew that he had a battle with Mark, and they both didn't know it yet. This also made him breathe a sigh of relief. After all, if they knew about it, it would have some impact on future arrangements. Our plan is about to speed up. You should immediately let your men sneak into various villages and collect the tailed beasts. The sooner the better. Uchiha Obito found a seat and sat at random, not treating himself as an outsider at all. Why, did something unexpected happen? Konan and Nagato's eyes fell on Obito, and they felt something was wrong. Well, there are indeed some changes. Uchiha Obito said calmly. Do you still remember Yi-fan who defeated Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Kazaki? Deidara was also killed by him, and Uchiha Itachi and Inagaki Kisame chose to betray us. Quote. What? As soon as these words came out, Konan and Nagato's expressions changed, revealing expressions of surprise. Isn't it to say that Yi-fan has been seriously injured? Why is Deidara also dead? Deidara has a trump card that makes us all afraid. Also, why did Uchiha Itachi and Inagaki Kisame choose to rebel again? Logically speaking, this is simply impossible. Konan obviously felt a lot of problems from Uchiha Obito's words, which made her who didn't believe Obito have more questions in her heart. I don't know the specific situation yet. You just need to know that Itachi and Kisame have rebelled. Uchiha Obito sighed, losing 3 generals almost at the same time, which gave him a headache. However, the biggest headache for him was Yi-fan. Yi-fan was so powerful that he was simply helpless. Today, he has another thing to do here, which is to let Uzumaki Nagato test where Yi-fan's upper limit is. Only by knowing the upper limit of Yi-fan's strength can he make better arrangements for the next thing. Otherwise, Mark would be like a time bomb, making him afraid to act rashly. Isn't that Yi-fan just a kid? Can he have such strength? Conan's eyes turned cold and he said, Uchiha Itachi and Inagaki Kisame, you didn't deliberately let them rebel, right? And Yi-fan is just a cover for you, right? Conan's face darkened, thinking that all this was caused by Madara, seeing the rise of Nagato and being unable to fully control it. The ultimate goal is to get rid of himself and Nagato. Uchiha Itachi and Inagaki Kisame are extremely powerful, she really can't imagine. How could a boy who was only 13 or 14 years old defeat them all at the same time, and even kill Deidara? Conan, it seems you still don't believe me. Uchiha Obito said. Nagato, who opened the Samsara Eye, is the one who inherited the will of the Sage of Six Paths, the one who can bring true peace to this world cursed by hatred. And I, Uchiha Madara, am just the one who helps with all this. Quote, we all have the same purpose, to bring real peace to this desperate world. There is no need for me to lie to you. Although the fact that Yi-fan defeated Uchiha Itachi and Ingaki Kisame does sound a bit unbelievable, it is indeed true. If we don't speed up the pace, but let Yi-fan take Weasel and the others to collect other tailed beasts, the situation will become even more difficult. Madara, even if you say so, When Conan was about to say something, he was interrupted by Nagato. Madara, I already know, I will have someone do this as soon as possible. Uzumaki Nagato had different ideas from Conan. He firmly believed that he was the one who inherited the will of Sage of Six Paths and was the one who could truly bring peace to the ninja world. Therefore, he has always believed in what Uchiha Obito said. Nagato, don't you think this matter is a bit? Conan, you don't have to say any more. There is no need for Madara to lie to us, and we will know whether Yi-fan has that strength in a try. When Conan heard this, he said nothing and turned around to continue looking at the scenery in the distance. Uchiha Obito looked at such confident Uzumaki Nagato, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, revealing a devilish smile. Nagato has always believed that he is the one who inherited the will of Sage of Six Paths. Obito also grasped this point and was able to steadily control Nagato Uzumaki. Nagato, Conan, take action today. According to some information I got, Jiraiya will take Nine-Tails Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto out of the village to find Tsunade Hime. Nine-Tails is the most important part of all tailed beasts, and this is an opportunity. Quote. As soon as he finished speaking, a burst of space fluctuations appeared, and Uchiha Obito disappeared from the sight of the two of them. After Uchiha Obito left, Conan asked, Nagato, do you think Madara's words are really credible? Can a boy of 13 or 14 really have the ability to defeat and subjugate Uchiha Itachi and Inagaki Kisame? Nagato sighed and said, it's easy to know the authenticity of all this, so let's start preparing. What we have to face next is Teacher Jiraiya. Quote, Conan nodded after hearing this, his body turned into paper, and disappeared into the room. Hidden Leaf Village. The first ray of sunlight in the morning passed through the window and fell on Yi-fan's face. Yi-fan stretched out and woke up Uchiha Itachi and Gansaki Kisame. Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Inagaki took off their Akatsuki organization clothes and put on new clothes each. Uchiha Itachi stroked the new clothes on his body and was filled with emotion. He never thought that after so many years, he would still be able to wear this outfit unique to the Uchiha clan. Yi-fan glanced at the two of them, smiled and said, let's go. The two nodded, and at Uchiha Itachi's request, they planned to go to the hospital to see Uchiha Sasuke before setting off. In Konoha Hospital, Metkai, Sakura and Xiaoli stayed here for a day and a night. Ever since they sent Uchiha Sasuke here, Sasuke's mood has been very unstable and he has been on the verge of collapse. Hitaki Kakashi, who was sleeping beside him, was much more stable. Why on earth is this? Uchiha Sasuke, who was tied to the bed, kept roaring. Black curse marks covered every inch of skin on his body. Although his eyes were squeezed by the swollen flesh and blood, only 2 slits remained, but he could still vaguely see a trace of blood-red light. Isn't Uchiha Itachi a SSS level wanted criminal in Konoha? Why doesn't anyone care about him and let him run rampant in the village? Uchiha Itachi, I'm going to kill you. Yi-fan, I'm going to kill you. Ah! Uchiha Sasuke kept roaring and struggling. Sasuke's voice echoed throughout the hospital. This situation has been going on for a long time. Sasuke. Sakura knelt down beside the bed, her tears almost dry. Since yesterday, every time Uchiha Sasuke yells, Sakura will shed tears. The two of them are like a hip-hop group, and they also have a little rhythm. Why on earth is this? I've tried so hard, but I'm still so far behind Itachi. I'm obviously a genius boy who carries the name of Uchiha. Why can't I defeat a god of plague who doesn't even have the bloodline limit? Sasuke, don't do this. I believe you will be able to defeat Uchiha Itachi. Don't do this again. Sakura looked at the emotionally broken Uchiha Sasuke and couldn't help but feel heartbroken. Come here, don't touch me. Uchiha Sasuke struggled and threw Sakura to the ground. Naruto, where are you? Come and see Sasuke. Come and persuade Sasuke. Sakura, who collapsed to the ground and had almost dried up her tears, burst into tears again and kept calling Naruto's name. Xiao Li, who was standing aside, felt heartbroken when he saw Sakura being thrown away by Sasuke, and quickly ran over to help her. Sakura, are you okay? Uchiha Sasuke, how could you treat Sakura like this? Go away. Sakura shook off Xiao Li's hand and crawled towards Uchiha Sasuke's bed again. Xiao Li's eyes widened and his whole body was trembling. Kakashi and Metkai looked at this scene, looked at each other, and then covered their foreheads. The two of them really had no choice about all this. Kakashi found a pair of earplugs, plugged his ears, and continued watching Intimate Paradise. Sakura. Xiao Li was devastated and felt unprecedented sadness. Suddenly, a big hand pressed on his shoulder. Xiao Li turned around, and what came into view was Metkai, who was wearing green clothes and with shiny hair. Li, as long as you are a human being, you will experience some painful things. This is youth. Teacher Kai. Xiao Li threw himself into Metkai's arms and burst into tears. Metkai patted Xiao Li's back gently, and a burst of sadness filled his heart. Li, this is youth, this is youth. Before he finished speaking, Metkai also began to cry bitterly. Kakashi looked at this scene, sighed deeply, and slowly closed his eyes. At this moment, how much he wanted to change to a separate ward. On the building outside the hospital, Yi Fan and his party have already arrived. Yi Fan looked at the situation inside the hospital and felt dizzy. Although he did not see the cause and effect of the incident with his own eyes, he could imagine what happened. When Kisame Kazaki saw the crying Metkai, a trace of respect slowly rose in his heart, and he murmured. He is really a man who dares to love and hate. Then, he looked at Uchiha Itachi and asked, Mr. Itachi, are you really planning to teach Sasuke a lesson? Looking at his situation, it seems that something is not good. You are not afraid. Uchiha Itachi nodded. Sasuke's hatred for me is far from enough. If you want to continue to grow, you must hate me more. Let's go. After saying this, Uchiha Itachi's figure appeared first at the door of the ward. Kisame Mikigaki looked at his back and said with emotion, what a great brother. Later, he and Yi Fan appeared behind Uchiha Itachi. In the ward, Uchiha Sasuke was still shouting loudly. Uchiha Itachi, Yi Fan, I must kill you. But, when he saw the situation outside the door, the sound instantly became fainter until it completely disappeared. Looking at the three people standing outside the door, Uchiha Sasuke subconsciously stepped back, but because he was tied up, he couldn't take a step back at all. Kakashi and Metkai saw clearly the situation outside the house, and their expressions immediately became solemn. When Sakura saw Uchiha Itachi standing at the door, she gasped and backed away in fright. Uchiha Itachi, what are you doing here? Metkai protected Xiao Li behind him and stared at the door very seriously. Kakashi also gave up the intimacy paradise, dragged his tired body from the bed to the floor, revealing the 3 Magatama Sharingan. Xiao Li saw Yi Fan's figure and shouted, trying to get out from behind Metkai, but Metkai's strength was too great. Uchiha Itachi ignored Metkai's question and walked straight into the ward, heading towards Uchiha Sasuke. Stop. Metkai frowned, obviously discovering Uchiha Itachi's purpose. Seeing that Itachi had no intention of stopping, Metkai directly chose to take action without any hesitation. Konoha's powerful whirlwind. Metkai launched a flying kick towards Uchiha Itachi. But before he could make contact with Itachi, he was blocked by Kisame Mikigaki. Immediately, the two started fighting in the ward. The aftermath of the fight between the two sent Sakura flying and slammed into the wall. Without Metkai's obstruction, Uchiha Itachi easily walked in front of Sasuke. As for Kakashi, who is already in bad shape, he simply cannot stop the current Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Sasuke looked at Itachi in front of him, his whole body was trembling rapidly, fear filled his body and mind. At this time, Sasuke no longer clamored to kill Uchiha Itachi and Yi-fan. "Don't come over, don't come over." The trembling Sasuke kept shouting. "Sasuke, you are too weak. You will never be able to kill me. My stupid brother, do you want to kill me? Then hate me, hate me." Uchiha Itachi stood in front of Sasuke, a red light flashed in his eyes, and Sasuke once again fell into the world of Tsukuyomi. "No, don't kill them. Dad, Mom." Sasuke, who was trapped in the world of Tsukuyomi, had blood flowing from his eyes and kept roaring. His emotions had completely collapsed. Seeing that his goal had been accomplished, Gansaki Kisame stopped and left the hospital with Yi-fan and the others. Before leaving, he left a message. "Your name is Metkai, right? I'm Kisame Anekasaki, nice to meet you." After saying that, the three of them disappeared, followed by Rock Lee. Uchiha Kisame, what a formidable opponent. Metkai held his chin and fell into deep thought. When he realized that Xiao Li was missing, he thought about chasing after him. However, he was stopped by Hiruzen Sarutobi. "Kai, Xiao Li was taken to find Jiraiya by Yi-fan, don't chase him." Yesterday, when Sarutobi Hiruzen was at the door, he heard Mark and Jiraiya discussing about letting Jiraiya take Xiao Li to practice for a period of time. Over a village full of casinos, taverns, and clubs, Uzumaki Nagato, who was unable to move easily, sat on a big bird and looked down at it all. Through the vision sharing of the reincarnation eye, he has discovered Tsunade's trace. Just wait here for Mr. Jiraiya. With his ability, he should be able to find it soon. Uzumaki Nagato murmured, then controlled the big bird and found an extremely secret place to hide nearby. At the entrance of Konoha village, Jiraiya said a few words to Yi-fan earnestly, and then left with Naruto and Xiao Li. "Uchiha Yi-fan, during this period of time, I will practice well with Master Jiraiya. In the future, my strength will definitely surpass yours." Xiao Li is full of confidence and full of confidence. Being able to follow Jiraiya on the road of spiritual practice, Xiao Li gradually came out of his sadness. Kisame Kazaki looked at the three people leaving and said with a smile. "Metkai's disciple Rock Lee is really interesting. However, if he wants to surpass Mr. Yi-fan, it may be impossible." Quote. Uchiha Itachi nodded and said, "That's true. Looking at the entire ninja world, I'm afraid no one can be Yi-fan's opponent." "Haha, who knows?" Yi-fan smiled and waved his hand. He also wanted to see what kind of sparks would happen when titled Duluo Lock Lee met the martial arts Kame Senryu. "Let's go." Yi-fan put his hands behind his back and slowly took the first step. This time, he did not intend to rush forward with all his strength. He wanted to move forward slowly and get a better understanding of the current ninja world. Time flies by, like a fleeting moment, and 10 days have passed in the blink of an eye. In the belly of a large mountain outside that village, Uzumaki Nagato sat cross-legged on a relatively flat stone, sitting motionless. In the past 10 days, Nagato has used the human path in Pain's 6 paths to figure out Tsunade Heime's daily routine and actions. Overall, Tsunade Heime's life routine is very regular. Every day I slept until 2 o'clock at noon, took 2 minutes to finish my meal, and then stayed in the casino until 1 o'clock in the evening. I kept losing until I couldn't get a single point from the loan shark, walked out of the casino, and then went to the tavern opposite the casino for a luxurious drink. I don't wear the same face every day, it's like this every day, it never changes. In the belly of Dashin, Uzumaki Nagato sighed, Tsunade-sama's luck is really hard to describe. In the past 10 days, Nagato has never seen Tsunade win money once. Looking outside the cave, the sky suddenly became covered with dark clouds. Uzumaki Nagato had a particularly strong premonition in his heart that Jiraiya was coming. On a hillside 7 or 8 miles away from the village, Jiraiya, Uzumaki Naruto, and Lock Lee were walking in an orderly manner. During this period of time, besides looking for Tsunade Heim, Jiraiya's thoughts were basically focused on the Kame Senryu. The training methods recorded in Kamazen Ryu were regarded by Jiraiya as a treasure. In 10 days, he had basically learned all the martial arts recorded on the Turtle Senryu. Although it cannot be said to be comprehensive, it is still not a problem to use it freely. Along the way, he tried his best to teach Naruto and Xiao Li. As long as he realizes something, he will teach it freely and never hide it for himself. Even if he has never had any interaction with Xiao Li, he still treats them equally. The performance of Naruto and Xiao Li did not disappoint Jiraiya. In these 10 days, Naruto has basically mastered the rudiment of the Turtle School Qigong wave. Although he cannot fully release it, it is not bad. Xiao Li has learned after image boxing and drunken boxing, and is basically close to mastering these two boxing techniques. Xiao Li's talent in physical arts made Jiraiya a little impressed. Pervy Sage, where is Granny Tsunade? Is it really possible to find her with our aimless search? Naruto asked, still fiddling with the movements of releasing the turtle-style Qigong as he spoke. We should be very close to Tsunade. We will probably find her in the next few days. Along the way, Jiraiya pretended to be a debt collector and inquired around in major casinos. Many people have said that they have seen a woman who was extremely unlucky and had bad luck. Over the years, Jiraiya has traveled to many places. Based on his understanding of Tsunade, he basically determined that Tsunade should be in the village not far ahead. Jiraiya had been to the village in front of him before. It is filled with gambling, clubs, and even some drugs that can cause hallucinations. That kind of place may be hell for ordinary people, but for Tsunade, it is a rare paradise. Jiraiya looked up at the sky covered with dark clouds, lightning and thunder, and said, "It's going to rain heavily soon, we have to speed up." As soon as he finished speaking, Jiraiya's figure gradually disappeared from the sight of Naruto and Xiao Li. When Xiao Li saw this, he was extremely excited and ran with all his strength. Naruto followed closely behind, and his speed was not much slower than that of Xiao Li. After running wildly, the three of them finally arrived at the evil-filled village before the downpour. As soon as he arrived at the entrance of the village, Jiraiya felt an indescribable feeling in his heart. His sixth sense told him that this place was very dangerous. Naruto, Xiao Li, follow me. Jiraiya looked around, and the feeling became more and more intense. Pervy Sage, where should we start? Jiraiya-sama, do we still have to split up as before? Jiraiya shook his head when he heard this, and said with a serious face, "Just follow me closely this time, and don't leave my sight." As he spoke, Jiraiya walked towards the largest casino in the village. Along the way, many young women who were enjoying themselves ran up to them and grabbed their clothes. "Handsome boy, do you want to play? Handsome boy, our family's work is good, I guarantee you will be satisfied. You two handsome guys, come in quickly and I won't charge you any money." Naruto and Xiao Li, who were inexperienced in the world, made a big blush. Faced with these temptations, Jiraiya didn't even look at them. Today, he does not have this leisurely elegance. His sixth sense told him that he had to leave this place quickly. When you push open the door of the casino, you will see a dense crowd. There was an oversized wooden table in the center of the casino, surrounded by 30 or 40 people on both sides. Those people looked at the woman sitting on the main seat, their eyes gleaming. They had not encountered such a fat sheep for a long, long time. The appearance of this woman made many people who had lost everything stand up again. The owner of the casino secretly planted a lot of thugs, and the woman had already taken a lot of loan sharks from the casino. The casino owner thought to himself that if the woman didn't pay the money, she and the attendant next to her would be ruined. As for the pink pig, it is used to make roasted whole pig. On the main seat, the choppy woman looked at the cards in her hand, her brows furrowed and her face pale. "Maid, lost again." The woman smashed the cards on the table, and after the others saw the cards clearly, bursts of laughter broke out. "They are really happy." Suddenly, a big hand was placed on the woman's shoulder. The woman didn't even raise her head, thinking that people from the casino were worried that he would not repay the loan shark, so they sent someone to kidnap her. "Get your dirty hands off." The woman spoke domineeringly, her chest heaving up and down as she spoke. How could a turbulent wave be described? "Tsunade, you are being targeted, do you know that?" A familiar voice suddenly came to the woman's ears. Shizune, who was holding the piglet Dodo, looked at Jiraiya with wide eyes. Jiraiya-sama. Jiraiya, why are you here? Take out the money you have and let me play some more. Tsunade, this is very dangerous, we must leave here as soon as possible. Oh, Jiraiya, why are you making such a fuss? Isn't it just those people who want accounts who are following me? What's the big deal? Take out all the money you have. I'm going to get it back. Quote. Jiraiya didn't continue to speak, and stretched out his hand to pull Tsunade away. When the casino owner saw that Tsunade and the others were leaving, he immediately asked people to surround them. But before they could make any move, there was a loud noise outside the house. Ninja technique, psychic technique. In an instant, a huge hellhound with 3 heads appeared out of thin air and crushed several low houses with its feet. The violent vibration caused a commotion, and people inside the casino instantly became panicked. Except for Jiraiya and the others, almost everyone was screaming. The people who have been secretly observing me these past few days are not debt collectors. Tsunade frowned and her face became heavy. Shizune also realized the seriousness of the matter. After all, those who dare to observe one of the legendary Sannin in secret and can choose to take action without hesitation are definitely not simple. Tsunade, please protect Naruto and the others. Maybe their target was not you from the beginning, but Naruto who came with me to find you. Feeling the vibrations in the whole room, Jiraiya understood that the psychic beasts from the outside were about to attack. The enemy's real target is me. Naruto was a little confused and couldn't react for a while. However, before he had time to think about it, he felt his face hit something extremely soft. When he reacted, he was already being carried away from the casino by Tsunade Haim. Kid, you'd better keep your head calm and don't move around. Tsunade shouted and stared at the situation in the casino with a solemn face. The hellhound with 3 heads was about to hit the casino house in just the blink of an eye. Jiraiya glanced at the hundreds of people in the room and knew that he must not let the hellhounds destroy this place. If Cerberus is allowed to destroy this place at will, rivers of blood will flow. Come out, Toadian. Jiraiya decisively used the psychic technique. In an instant, a purple toad holding a shield in his left hand and a harpoon in his right hand appeared out of thin air, firmly blocking the Cerberus attack. Toad Takaru, force it out of the village, don't let it destroy this place wantonly. Jiraiya shouted. Ah, okay, Toad Jien whispered, picked up the harpoon and began to attack the Cerberus fiercely. In an instant, the casino house was shaken even more strongly. Jiraiya stumbled, almost falling to the ground, and couldn't help but complain. Toad Jien, be careful. Toad Ken said with an innocent face, I'm sorry, I'm relatively useless. As he spoke, the harpoon in Toad Jien's hand became stronger and stronger, and the hellhound was driven out of the village in an instant. Faced with Toad Jien's sudden attack, the hellhound had little power to fight back. As soon as Jiraiya jumped out of the house, a huge lobster appeared again and attacked him with all its strength. This time, Jiraiya also saw clearly the appearance of the caster. When he saw the appearance of the caster clearly, Jiraiya's heart trembled. Although the man's appearance was very different from what he remembered, his eyes immediately allowed him to recognize the identity of the caster. Jiraiya didn't have time to think about anything, and quickly released the ninjutsu technique of chaotic lion hair. For a time, Jiraiya's hair grew rapidly, tying up the big lobster like a steel rope. After restraining the lobster, Jiraiya pulled hard, and the lobster's body fell into pieces, completely losing its breath. Immediately afterwards, Jiraiya's hair was twisted into a rope, firmly locking the beast path, one of Pain's 6 paths. Jiraiya stared at the controlled beast, with mixed feelings and extremely chilled. He never imagined that the disciple he had taken care of and taught for many years would kill him without even saying hello when they met. Nagato's actions had already let Jiraiya know that Nagato was completely contrary to the ideas he had taught them. When Tsunade Haim saw the eyes of the beast, she remembered one of the 3 children they met during the Great Ninja War, Uzumaki Nagato. At this moment, Tsunade Haim realized what level of opponent they were facing. The person they have to face is a person with the Eye of Reincarnation. Jiraiya-sensei, long time no see. Zhu Shengdao's tone was calm, without any emotion in his voice. Naruto and Xiao Li were shocked when they heard this. He's calling pervy sage, teacher. So, the person who attacked us is also a disciple of Pervy Sage. Since he is Lord Jiraiya's disciple, why would he attack us again? Xiao Li was puzzled and raised his stake to its peak, ready to fight at any time. Nagato, where is Yahiko? Where has he gone? Jiraiya asked sharply. Yahiko, he is already dead, and I also felt the pain from it. War is so cruel. After the baptism of war, I am already far higher than a human being. I am pain, and I have transformed from a mortal into a god. When Jiraiya heard this, his brows furrowed deeper and deeper. Unexpectedly, after many years, one of his 3 former disciples died and the other went astray. He didn't need to think too much about this situation to know that Conan's current situation would not be very good. At least, it is impossible to practice your own ideas anymore. Teacher Jiraiya, in my opinion, you are just a naive and confused person who will never grow up. The animal figure flashed, broke away from Jiraiya's restraints, and stood on the head of a giant bird. Humph, are you considered a brat by a brat? Jiraiya snorted coldly. Teacher Jiraiya, your philosophy is completely wrong. Your ideal world will never be able to take root in this world cursed by hatred. After you die, I will develop a forbidden technique that can destroy a big country in an instant. Then, I will distribute that forbidden technique to all countries. As long as someone has that level of power, someone will definitely use it. By that time, everyone will feel the catastrophic pain, and then fear will breed, inhibiting the war. Thus, true peace will come to this world cursed by hatred. While talking, Zhu Shengdao used his psychic technique, and 4 or 5 more huge psychic beasts appeared. Haha, Nagato, if a forbidden technique of that level really appears, can you completely control the world from behind? Perhaps, this method can indeed bring short-term peace to the world, but that kind of peace is ultimately false and can never last long. When I first discovered that you had the Eye of Reincarnation, I thought you were the prophesied son of the great Toad Sage, but now it seems you are not. The real son of prophecy is Uchiha Yi-fan, he is the one who can bring peace to this world. Moreover, he is already working hard on this matter. Uchiha Yi-fan, is it him again? Zhu Shengdao narrowed his eyes slightly when he heard this and said. He is practicing your ideals and is destined to be killed by me. It seems that you care about the life and death of the people in this village, so I will let you feel a little pain first. Zhu Shengdao waved his hand, and all the psychic beasts scattered, attacking the people in the village from all directions. The beast is determined to completely destroy this village. At the same time, Shiradao among Pain's 6 paths slowly appeared behind Tsunade Haim. Tsunade, be careful, Jiraiya yelled and immediately went to rescue Tsunade-ji. Jiraiya-sensei, you'd better take care of yourself first. The animal path controlled the psychic beast and continuously attacked Jiraiya, blocking his way. At this moment, Tsunade Haim also felt the cold air coming from behind. Without any hesitation, Tsunade-ji made a fist with her right hand and swung it violently behind her. Shiradao, who was about to attack Tsunade Haim, saw this and quickly stretched out his hands to resist. When the fist fell on Shiradao's hands, the powerful force instantly knocked it away dozens of meters. Tsunade-sama, you are indeed very powerful. Shiradao grinned and chuckled. 2 pairs of reincarnation eyes. After Tsunade Haim and Jiraiya saw the person clearly, their faces were as gloomy as water. For a moment, I couldn't figure out what was going on. Shizune, take Naruto and the others out of here, leave this place to me and Jiraiya. Tsunade Haim gave the order with a wave of her hand, and at the same time decisively activated the art of Baihao. The black lines instantly covered the cheeks, which looked very special. Tsunade-sama, but Shizune was a little hesitant, she wanted to stay here and help Tsunade. Come on, the situation here is no longer something you can handle. Shizune hesitated for a moment, grabbed Naruto and Xiao Li, and was about to escape from here. But at this moment, Jiraiya's voice sounded. Wait, don't leave here. Jiraiya, what do you mean? Tsunade Haim asked with some confusion. Tsunade, since there is a second person with the Samsara Eye, there might be a third or fourth. If Naruto and the others leave our sight, they will fall into an even more dangerous situation. When Suna heard this, he felt that this possibility was very high. The beast laughed when he heard this. As expected of teacher Jiraiya, you have discovered all this. Nagato had no intention of hiding it. In his opinion, even if Jiraiya and Tsunade Hime teamed up, they would never be his opponent. He still knew the strength of Jiraiya and Tsunade very well. Over the years, he had secretly collected a lot of information about Jiraiya and Tsunade Hime. Psychic art. The animal path quickly formed seals, and once again channeled 3 pain. In an instant, the 5 pains of the animal path, Hungry Kido, Human path, Shira path, and Hell path all stood on the eaves. 5 pain, 5 pairs of samsara eyes. Jiraiya, Tsunade Hime and the others stared at the 5 pains, feeling unprecedented pressure. Naruto and Shaoli stared at the 5 pens, swallowed silently, and an idea appeared in their minds at the same time. Could it be that in these years, Jiraiya and Yi-Fan have faced enemies of this level? No wonder Yi-Fan is so powerful, he can defeat even the genius boy who carries the name of Uchiha. Jiraiya glanced at the pains, then at Toadken, who was fighting fiercely with Cerberus outside the village, and Tsunade Hime looked at each other, and both nodded. Ninja technique. Psychic technique. 3 streaks of white smoke flashed past, and Gamabunta, Gamahiro, and Katsuyu appeared at the same time. As soon as the 3 psychic beasts appeared, their eyes were attracted by the 5 pens on the eaves. These are 5 pairs of samsara eyes. The 3 psychic beasts exclaimed in unison. Gamabunta, Gamahiro, I'll leave the psychic beasts in the village to you. Jiraiya shouted, his speed suddenly increased, and he took Naruto away in an instant and jumped on Toad Takeru's head. With a wave of his hair, he cut several hellhounds into pieces. The Cerberus that was torn into pieces not only did not die, but became more numerous. Can't be killed. Yes, Jiraiya, I'm relatively useless. I'm going to kill them. The more I beat them, the more they get. Toadken, please protect me and Naruto for now, I will enter Sage mode next. Jiraiya jumped up, first made a seal with his feet, then flicked his hair, and a transparent protective shield appeared, covering Toad Takeru. As long as he is within the scope of this protective cover, Jiraiya can sense all attacks. Ah, okay, Jiraiya. Although I am stupid, I will do my best to protect you. Toujien whispered and waved the harpoon. Pervy Sage, what do I do? Naruto couldn't help but ask, being in such a dangerous situation, he wanted to do his part. Naruto, you just need to stay by my side. Jiraiya-sensei, are you preparing some ninjutsu? The beast glanced at Jiraiya, waved with one hand, and the other 4 pains rushed forward. If you want to disturb Jiraiya, you have to get through me first. Tsunade Hime put her hands on her hips, waved her sleeves, and stood in front of the 4 pains, showing off her domineering attitude. She knew that the ninjutsu that Jiraiya would perform next must not be disturbed. If interrupted, all previous efforts will be wasted. Seeing this, Gamabunta also jumped over, slashing with one hand and his eyes firm. On the side, Shaoli took off the weight on his body and shouted, 8 gates Dunjia formation, the 5th gate of limit, open. 2 people and 1 toad, rushing towards the 4 pens. Shizune was not idle either, cooperating with Katsuyu to treat the injured villagers. Tsunade Hime was the fastest and was the first to rush in front of the 4 pens. With a frosty face, she raised her hand and punched them with all her strength. Pain, who was locked by Tsunade Hime from a blind angle, bent down slightly and easily dodged the punch. The extremely powerful fist wind tore apart a piece of earth, leaving a crack tens of meters deep on the earth. Seeing this level of destructive power, the pains were also shocked. If you receive such a punch from the front, you will definitely die. It was obviously an attack from a blind spot, so why was it directly dodged? Tsunade didn't have time to think too much and quickly distanced herself from him. As soon as he opened the distance, he slashed at Pain with a long knife. It was exactly the same as last time, still easily dodged by Pain. The same goes for Shaoli's attack, which cannot hit anyone among Pain at all. Tsunade frowned and launched another attack. But, no matter which direction she attacks, she can't touch Pain. It's so strange, our attacks can't hit them at all. Gamabunta exclaimed, whether we can hit them or not, we must block them and not let them affect Jiraiya's ability to perform that technique. Tsunade Hime made up her mind. Hearing this, Zhu Shengdao's face became slightly heavy. It seems that the technique prepared by Mr. Jiraiya is very dangerous. No matter what kind of technique it is, don't let him release it. The beast in the distance controlled the psychic beast to attack Tsunade Heim and the others. The remaining 4 Pain also decided to fight quickly. The ninjutsu that could make Tsunade Heim and the others believe so much gave Nagato a bad feeling in the distance. Suddenly, a cannonball turned a corner and headed towards Tsunade Heim. Since her back was facing the cannonball, Tsunade Heim had no time to react. Tsunade-sama, be careful. Xiao Li's figure suddenly appeared behind her, whipped his leg towards the cannonball, and kicked the cannonball away. Although the shell did not explode beside them, the aftermath still injured Xiao Li's foot. In an instant, bright red blood sprinkled on Tsunade-ji's face. Feeling the hot blood, Tsunade-ji's pupils shrank rapidly, and her whole body was trembling uncontrollably. Baihao's skills were all lifted in an instant. Pain looked at Tsunade-ji and instantly understood her weakness. Hungry Kido seized the opportunity and rushed in front of Tsunade Heim in the blink of an eye. A big hand turned into a claw and clawed at Tsunade Heim's chest, intending to crush Tsunade's heart. Tsunade-sama! Shizune roared and flew towards Tsunade Heim. Oops, it's too late. Gamabunta, who was stopped by the 2 Pains, his eyes darkened, and he could only watch as Shiridao's hand grabbed Tsunade Heim's heart. Tsunade-sama! Xiao Li was also beaten by Pain, and he was unable to do anything at all. Tsunade-sama, cheer up. Shizune's heart was shrouded in despair, and 2 lines of clear tears slid down her cheeks and fell to the ground. However, no matter how much they screamed, Tsunade Heim remained motionless, with cold sweat constantly breaking out from her forehead. At this moment, she could no longer feel any danger at all, and her heart was completely occupied by fear. Tsunade-sama, let's stop here. It's really ridiculous to say that. He is obviously the top medical ninja in the world, but he is afraid of blood. Shiridao had a smile on his face. One of the legendary Sannin, Senju Tsunade, comes to an end. Shiridao didn't hesitate at all, wrapped his palm with chakra, and already touched Tsunade-ji's chest. The tyrannical power instantly scratched Tsunade Heim's skin. You are not worthy of letting the future Hokage of Konoha Hidden Village take action. Jiraiya's figure suddenly appeared in the sky above Shiridao, and he raised his hand and punched him. Boom! Shiridao's body shattered into 8 large pieces with a loud noise. The parts scattered on the ground made Jiraiya instantly realize that these Pain were not human at all. Shiridao was instantly killed by Jiraiya with 1 punch, instantly attracting the attention of several other Pain. Looking at Jiraiya, who had changed his appearance and had 2 toads standing on his shoulders, the Pains knew that Jiraiya had completed the jutsu that they had never seen before. Fortunately, I used the method of operating chakra recorded on Kamezen Ryu at the last moment, otherwise it would have been too late. Jiraiya looked at Tsunade Heim and breathed a long sigh of relief, and the big stone hanging in his heart finally fell to the ground. Tsunade-sama! Shizune rushed to Tsunade Heim and picked her up. Shizune, protect Tsunade, and leave the rest to me. Yes, Lord Jiraiya. Shizune quickly hugged Tsunade Heim and found a relatively safe place to stay. Gama-ken, Gama-bunta, Gama-hero, thank you for your hard work. As soon as Jiraiya finished speaking, Fukasaku Sage and Shima Sage standing on his shoulders immediately used water style to kill all the psychic beasts instantly. Gamabunta, please protect Naruto and the 3 of you. Just leave this place to me. Little Jiraiya, it seems that an enemy who can force you to this point is indeed a bit tricky. Fukasaku Sennin said solemnly. Yes, after all, they are enemies who possess the legendary Eye of Sage of 6 Paths. From now on, I will use Sage Jutsu instead of ninjutsu. With my bare back and sky cover looking up, Jiraiya is a hero. Jiraiya shook his head and assumed a classic posture. Don't scream in our ears. Fukasaku Sennin and Shima Sennin punched Jiraiya in the mouth at the same time. Jiraiya, it seems that this debut performance was interrupted mercilessly. Seeing Jiraiya's appearance, Pain Human Dao said disdainfully. It seems like you haven't grown at all over the years. As he spoke, the human being filled with murderous intent rushed towards Jiraiya. Jiraiya stood there calmly, waiting for humanity to arrive. He raised his leg and whipped humanity in the face, kicking him away more than 10 meters. Jiraiya took advantage of the victory and pursued it, catching up with the human being who was flying backwards at extremely high speed, and raised his hand to give him another elbow. But this time, it was very easy to escape from the human world. Attacks from blind corners can be dodged so easily. Is there vision sharing between their eyes? Jiraiya glanced at the panes not far away, each standing in a position. He discovered this just now when he was preparing Sage Mode, but he just didn't dare to confirm it. Now that he has learned the lesson easily, Pain's ability has basically been confirmed. Suddenly, Jiraiya felt a cold light appear behind him, and with Sage Mode's perception, he clearly knew that it was a bomb. Is this move the same move I used to kill Pain just now? Do they still have the ability to resurrect? Chakra surged in Jiraiya's body, and he performed the dance technique and flew into the sky. The shell had no time to turn and hit the ground, sending sand and rocks flying and filling the sky with yellow sand. Flying ninjutsu. The Pens were shocked when they saw this scene. This is the ninjutsu they have never seen in Jiraiya. Shizune was also very surprised when she saw this scene, while Naruto and Xiaoli were extremely excited as they watched. This technique is the Wukong technique recorded in the Kimezen Ryu. As expected of pervy sage. Naruto laughed. The Pains glanced at Naruto, who was full of excitement, and then at Jiraiya, knowing that if they didn't kill Jiraiya, they wouldn't be able to capture Nine Tails. For a moment, the 5 Pains each showed their magical powers and attacked Jiraiya. Jiraiya looked at their various ninjutsu with a smile on his lips. Okay, we have to get rid of these guys quickly. Immortal Shima nodded and said, "Boy, prepare the oil. Father, use wind escape." "Okay," Jiraiya shouted. Sage Art Gomon. In an instant, Jiraiya released an extremely powerful ninjutsu. The ninjutsu released by the Pains turned into ashes before they touched this ninjutsu. Sage Art, a combination of wind, fire, and oil, swept towards the 5 Pains, intending to swallow them all. At this moment, Hungry Kido stood in front of this huge sage jutsu and stretched out his hands. In an instant, the extremely powerful Sage Art Gomon was completely absorbed by Kido. Jiraiya frowned when he saw this. All the oil has disappeared. Shima Sennin said, "We should devour them all." Fukasaku Sennin said, "It seems that these guys' bodies also have hidden mysteries." Jiraiya took off his clogs, and the muscles on his body grew rapidly. "Let's confirm it with close combat." Before he finished speaking, Jiraiya's figure arrived in front of Kido. Massive Rasengan. A Rasengan, 7 or 8 times larger than Jiraiya's body, kills Hungry Kido. Like last time, Massive Rasengan was also absorbed. That's not good, my attacks are completely ineffective against them. Jiraiya quickly distanced himself from him. When Naruto and Xiaoli saw this scene, their faces turned pale. They couldn't imagine that ninjutsu of that level could not hurt those Pain. Little Jiraiya, now that things have come to a point, it seems that I can only use genjutsu. If you continue like this, you will be killed even if you are in Sage Mode. Fukasaku Sage said. When Shima Sennin heard that genjutsu was about to be used, he shook his head in horror. Fukasaku Sennin ignored her and said to himself, "Our strongest genjutsu is to use singing to confuse the hearing and make the enemy vulnerable." Jiraiya shook his head. Genjutsu can't control the 5 of them at the same time. Next, we can only try the turtle-style Qigong wave. Turtle-style Qigong wave. What is it? Is it reliable? Why have I never heard you mention it? Said Fukasaku Sennin. Boy, is this your newly developed ninjutsu? Ninjutsu is useless to them. Shima Sennin said solemnly. Jiraiya used Wukong Jutsu to dodge several attacks from Pain, and replied quickly. The turtle-style Qigong wave is not ninjutsu. According to Yi Fan, it is considered martial arts. We can't drag it out any longer. If it's still useless to them, use genjutsu again, and ask you two to collect some natural energy for me. I know, little Jiraiya. Before he could finish his words, 5 Pens arrived and surrounded him, and for a while, attacks like a sudden storm followed one after another. Faced with the attacks of 5 Pains at the same time, even Jiraiya had entered Sage Mode and seemed to be struggling. What's wrong, Jiraiya-sensei, are you at the end of your rope? You really haven't made any progress in all these years. The Beastman punched Jiraiya in the chest, trying to kill him with one blow. Just as Jiraiya reached out to catch the punch, another kick came from behind, forcing him to give up the idea of killing the beast first. Nagato, you have made great progress in these years. Sage Art thousands of wool needles. Countless hairs shot out fiercely like steel needles, temporarily repelling Three Pain. But this didn't have much impact on them, and they caught up again in an instant. Seeing the 5 pens getting closer and closer to him, Jiraiya didn't have any panic on his face, but instead showed a smile. The pains looked at Jiraiya's appearance and immediately understood that they had been tricked, and quickly dispersed in all directions. I want to escape, but it's too late. Jiraiya didn't give them a chance and decisively summoned Toad Lao Lao with his psychic skills. For a moment, the surrounding environment changed dramatically, and all 5 pain were dragged into the stomach of the gored toad. Barriers. The 5 pains leaned together, observing the surrounding situation and watching out for Jiraiya, who had disappeared. Suddenly, a turbid wave of more than 10 meters high was set off in the barriers, which instantly separated the pains who were leaning together. The human beings had no time to escape and were swallowed up by the gastric juices. Before they could think about it for a moment, the surrounding flesh walls began to squirm quickly, locking the 5 pains in different places. Suddenly, Jiraiya's figure suddenly appeared in the room that blocked the way to the world. Massive Rasengan. Before Renjian Dao had time to react, he was instantly killed by Jiraiya. Nagato, who was hiding in the belly of the mountain, saw this scene and without any hesitation, he decisively detonated the Shira Dao. The extremely destructive explosion broke through barriers in an instant. The aftermath of the explosion overturned more than a dozen houses. Jiraiya stood on top of the ruins, his long hair dancing in the wind, somewhat surprised by Pain's decisiveness. The ability to choose to self-destruct so easily is due to the ability to have unlimited resurrection. Jiraiya whispered, and the voice of Fukusaku Sage came to his ears. Jiraiya-chan, the Sage Jutsu Chakra is ready. Ah, okay, I'm sorry to bother you. Jiraiya stared at the 5 intact pains and thought. I want to see if I can still revive you if I kill all 5 of you at once. Looking at the pains approaching him quickly, Jiraiya slowly closed his hands, and the chakra and Sage Jutsu Chakra in his body were transforming into a new power in a very special way. Turtle, Pi, Chi, Gong, Wave. Jiraiya shouted, and a very thick, blue light beam shot out, carrying extremely terrifying power. When the pens saw this, they showed a look of disdain on their faces. Jiraiya-sensei, your strength is no more than this. Hungry Kido stood in front of the other pains, stretching out his hands, ready to absorb Jiraiya's attack. The moment the light wave came into contact with his palm, Kido's eyes widened and he quickly issued a signal for the other pains to escape. As soon as the signal was sent out, Kido's body was completely swallowed up by the turtle Qigong wave, leaving not even a particle behind. When Fukusaku Sennin and Shima Sennin saw this scene, they were extremely shocked and overwhelmed. The power of the turtle Qigong waves far exceeded their expectations. Moreover, this method of using chakra is also the first time they have seen it, it is simply unheard of. Naruto and Shaoli watched all this and jumped 8 feet high with excitement, and their whole bodies were shaking with excitement. Naruto secretly swore in his heart that he must learn this trick. As long as you learn this trick, you will be able to defeat Sasuke. Nagato, who was hiding in the dark, stared at the ninjutsu he had never seen before, his eyes widened, and he quickly controlled the pains to escape. Through the pains, he felt the extremely oppressive power from this move. He dared to conclude that this move could definitely kill those 5 pain instantly. Want to run? Jiraiya's eyes were as bright as a torch, and he once again instilled a large amount of chakra on top of the Turtle School's Qigong wave. The moment chakra was infused, the Turtle School Qigong wave expanded rapidly, and both the attack speed and attack range were more than doubled. In an instant, the Shira Dao and the human Dao disappeared into nothing, as if they had never appeared in this world. After killing 3 pain in a row, the Turtle Qigong wave still did not stop, and arrived in front of the animal realm and hell realm in the blink of an eye. Not good. Nagato stared at this scene and quickly controlled the animal path and used the psychic technique. As soon as the psychic technique is released, the animal path disappears. Just when the Turtle Qigong wave was about to swallow up the hell realm, an extremely powerful repulsive force appeared. Shinra Tenzhang. The extremely powerful repulsive force resists the attack of the Turtle Qigong wave. The moment the repulsive force appeared, Jiraiya clearly felt it all. He frowned and increased his strength again. In an instant, Pain Tiandao, who was using Shinra Tianzhang, was pushed several hundred meters away by this force. Feeling this level of power, Tiandao used all his strength to bounce the turtle Qigong wave into the sky. Has it been blocked? Fukasaku Sennin couldn't help but frown as he looked at the earth that was badly damaged by the turtle sect's Qigong waves. The strength of those who can block this move should not be underestimated. Shima Sennin said. Jiraiya nodded, his face becoming extremely solemn. From the confrontation just now, he vaguely guessed that a new pain had appeared. Moreover, the strength of this pain is far greater than the previous pain. Jiraiya also discovered something. The newly appeared pain could obviously avoid the turtle Qigong wave, but he still tried his best to resist it. So that's it. The reason why pain can be resurrected indefinitely is all because of the last pain. I should have thought of this. Jiraiya figured everything out in an instant. Jiraiya-sensei, you have never taught me this kind of trick before. There was a sound of footsteps, and 6 intact Pain slowly walked out of the dust. When Jiraiya got a clear look at the leader, Pain, his heart couldn't help but twitch. Yahiko. When Shizune and Naruto saw the Pain still intact in their field of vision, a lot of cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Isn't this too outrageous? They have obviously been annihilated in Jiraiya-sama's ninjutsu. Why are you still alive? Shizune took a breath and felt great pressure. She even suspected that they would all have to explain here today. After all, if you encounter a group of opponents that can't be beaten to death no matter how hard you fight, you can kill them even if you waste them. Not to mention, the group of people I met all possessed extraordinary strength. Jiraiya quickly walked to Naruto and the others, looked directly at the 6 Pains, and shouted. Yahiko, why did you get those eyes? Was Nagato killed by you? As soon as he said these words, Jiraiya realized something was wrong, and some memories from the past emerged in his mind. After looking carefully, I realized that these Pain were all enemies he had killed before. In an instant, Jiraiya realized that these Pain, including Yahiko, were already dead, but had been resurrected by some secret method. The people I see now should all be puppets secretly controlled by others, and the person controlling them should be Nagato. Jiraiya-sensei, it seems that you have something to hide from us. You didn't teach us such a powerful technique in the first place. Tiandao took the other 5 Pains and stopped 20 meters away from Jiraiya and the others, his words filled with endless coldness. Nagato, who was paying attention to Jiraiya through pain, was filled with anger and hated Jiraiya extremely at this moment. He hated Jiraiya for hiding his secrets from them, and hated Jiraiya for teaching them the Kame-style Qigong wave. Nagato believes that if Jiraiya had hidden secrets from them, Yahiko would not have died in the first place. When Nagato thought about the scene of Yahiko's death, he felt extremely painful in his heart. Haha, Nagato, are you hiding something secret? Say in your heart, am I this kind of person? Listening to these words, Jiraiya felt a deep chill. This feeling was even worse than killing him. Jiraiya-sensei, you seem to care about Tsunade-sama and these brats. Today I will let you feel how it feels to lose the person you care about most. Shinra Tenzhang. Tiandao waved his hands, and an extremely powerful repulsive force swept away in all directions. For a moment, Jiraiya, Naruto, Shizune, Tsunade, Shaoli, Gamabunta, all of them were ejected and scattered in different places. After knocking them away, the other 5 Pain ran wildly in different directions, trying to kill them all at the first opportunity. Jiraiya looked at the Tiandao in front of him and shouted. Naruto, they have vision sharing, so you have to be in a place where none of the 5 of them can see you before you can attack them. Among them, the most important one is Pain, who has 6 tentacles on his ears. He is the key to Pain's infinite resurrection. Jiraiya-sensei, you knew it was too late, Wanxiang Tianyan. Tiandao gave a soft drink, and a huge suction force suddenly appeared. Jiraiya's body flew uncontrollably towards the black stick in Tiandao's hand. Little Jiraiya, be careful. Fukasaku Sage and Shima Sage release wind release and water style at the same time. Jiraiya didn't sit still and released the massive Rasengan. Tiandao looked at this scene and narrowed his eyes slightly, Shinluo Tianzhong. In an instant, all the ninjutsu were bounced away. Jiraiya was knocked away by the powerful repulsion, slammed into the wall, and spit out a mouthful of blood. Jiraiya didn't have time to check his injuries, and all his eyes fell on Naruto and the others. He is very worried about the situation over there. It's not good, Naruto and the others are no match for Pain. Jiraiya looked at Naruto, Xiao Li, and Shizune, who were beaten violently, and he felt endless worry in his heart. Gamabunta, Gamahiro, and Gamaken were blocked by the animal path using psychic techniques, and could not help Naruto and the others at all. Jiraiya-sensei, you'd better take care of yourself first. Tiandao smiled disdainfully and threw the black stick in his hand. The black stick killed Jiraiya at an extremely fast speed. Seeing that the situation was not going well, Jiraiya quickly rolled out of the way and said, Sage Art Fire Style Big Flame Bullet. A sea of fire rushed towards Tiandao instantly. Facing this level of ninjutsu, Tiandao had disdain written on his face. In just the blink of an eye, ninjutsu was easily cracked. Is it just to obscure my view? Tiandao looked at Jiraiya, who was running towards Naruto and the others, and whispered. Little Jiraiya, we must find a way to cut off Pain's vision. Otherwise, with your chakra, you won't be able to hold on for much longer. If you are killed, Naruto and the others won't be able to survive. Cut off vision. Jiraiya, who was running wildly, suddenly thought of the moves that Yifan had used while eating that day. He hurriedly shouted, Naruto! Xiao Li! Naruto and the others turned around and saw Jiraiya's posture, and immediately knew that Jiraiya was going to use the Sun Fist, and quickly told Tsunade and Shizune to close their eyes. The Pains didn't know why, but when Tiandao was about to use the all-seeing heavenly guide to suck Jiraiya in, they saw an extremely shining light appear. Sun Fist! Jiraiya shouted loudly, and within a radius of 50 meters, a white light appeared out of thin air, as if the real sun had descended here. In an instant, Pain's eyes were severely damaged and they fell into a state of blindness for a short time. Jiraiya seized the opportunity, quickly went behind Hell Road, and used the big ball Rasengan to solve him. Once he died in the Hell Realm, Jiraiya felt that the pressure on his shoulders was much lighter. Almost at the same time, Xiao Li, who opened the fifth door, used the afterimage fist to approach the human world, and then used the drunken fist to give him a fatal blow. Naruto was not idle either. He used multiple shadow clone techniques to create thousands of clones and defeated Kido and Shirato. 3 pens were solved at once, and the situation was reversed. When the Pains came to their senses, they quickly distanced themselves from them and stood together again. Jiraiya stood in front of Naruto and the others and said with a smile, well done. Tiandao stared at Jiraiya and frowned slightly. Jiraiya was much more difficult to deal with than he thought. Ninjutsu he had never seen before were released one after another, forcing him to get serious. Little Jiraiya, let's run away, you don't have much chakra left. Fukasaku Sage said seriously. Jiraiya shook his head. He had finally pushed the Pains to this point and couldn't just give up this opportunity. If we just leave like this, it will become even more difficult in the future. The reason why I was able to cut off Pain's field of vision with the Sun Punch before was entirely because of surprise. If Pain was prepared, it would not be so easy to achieve that effect. Naruto, how did you learn the turtle-style Qigong wave? Jiraiya asked. Pervy Sage, now I can only emit a little light wave. Naruto, whether you can destroy them or not depends entirely on you. You must use the power hidden in your body to destroy them. While speaking, Jiraiya glanced at Gamabunta and told him to take Naruto and the others away immediately as long as it didn't destroy Pain. Naruto, I will control the 3 of them and leave the rest to you. Jiraiya strode forward, his eyes filled with determination. Nagato, who controlled Pain, saw that the Hell Realm was destroyed, and knew that delaying it any longer would definitely spoil the matter. Definitely used planetary devastation. The moment he used planetary devastation, 3 figures suddenly appeared in his mind. This is Uchiha Itachi, Inagaki Kisame, and Uchiha Yohan arrived at a Megakure village. Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Kazaki seemed to have really rebelled. Nagato, who was hiding in the dark, clearly saw Kisame and the others' attitude towards Yifan through one of the abilities of the Samsara Eye, the Jutsu of Rain Tiger. That kind of attitude is very similar to the attitude of subordinates towards their superiors. We must quickly deal with Mr. Jiraiya and capture Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, otherwise Konan will be in danger. She cannot be a match for Itachi and the others. Nagato, whose body was covered with black sticks, clapped his hands, and a small black ball appeared out of thin air on the battlefield. At the same time, Pain Tiandao shouted, planetary devastation. In an instant, an extremely powerful suction force came from the black ball. The surrounding defenses, woods, rocks and other things all broke off the ground at this moment and quickly combined with the black ball. Jiraiya, who was rushing at the front, also felt a strong suction force, and his body flew uncontrollably towards the sphere in the air. This suction force far exceeds the suction force when Heavenly Tao uses the all-seeing Heavenly Yin. The rest of the people, like him, were trying their best to resist this suction. But the suction force was too great. No matter how hard they tried to resist, they still couldn't control their bodies leaning forward quickly. Is it another new ninjutsu? Nagato has made great progress over the years. Jiraiya's face was solemn, he felt the little chakra left, and decided to make a desperate move. Now, he has no way out. Jiraiya clapped his hands together, and all the chakra in his body gathered in one place. Fukasaku Sennin and Shima Sennin, who were temporarily connected with him, felt the changes in Jiraiya's body, their expressions changed greatly, and they hurriedly shouted. Little Jiraiya, if you choose to do this, if you make any mistake, you will die immediately. Take Naruto and the others and escape. We have to leave, and there's no way pain can stop us. Jiraiya shook his head. Please, you two, please continue to collect some natural energy for me. As soon as he finished speaking, the chakra in Jiraiya's body quickly transformed into another brand new power, gathering on his palms. Naruto, the next step is left to you, the 10,000 Kingdoms shocking palm. Jiraiya shouted, and a bolt of lightning shot out from his palms, covering the remaining 3 pain and planetary devastation in just the blink of an eye. This kind of lightning doesn't look much different from ninjutsu lightning style, but it's actually quite different. Whether its power or function, it far exceeds lightning style. The moment lightning enveloped the pains and the planetary devastation, the extremely powerful suction disappeared, and the surrounding area instantly returned to calm. Nagato was shocked when he felt pain, who was completely unable to move, and planetary devastation, who could no longer absorb items. The pains and the planetary devastation seemed to be completely constrained. How come Jiraiya-sensei has never seen this level of sealing techniques used before? Mr. Jiraiya, how much strength do you hide? Pain and planetary devastation were restrained, and Nagato felt an extremely dangerous smell. Without any hesitation, he quickly used Shinra Tianzhong, trying to bounce away the 10,000 Kingdoms shocking palm that restrained pain. Unexpectedly, Shinluo Tianzhong seemed to have lost its effect at this moment, and it was impossible to break free from the shackles of 10,000 Kingdoms shocking palm. Naruto, hurry up! Jiraiya yelled. The pains, struggles doubled his pressure. The most important thing is that the chakra in the body is consumed too quickly. If this continues, there is no way to last for too long. Pervy Sage, just hold on a little longer. Naruto's face was heavy and his eyes were determined. He stepped forward and back with his feet, and slowly closed his hands. Turtle, Pi, Chi, Gong, Wave. Every time Naruto shouted a word, the light in his hands became brighter. Until the last word was shouted, a ray of blue light shot out fiercely. However, what no one expected was that the light wave just went halfway before it immediately misfired. Failed, Shaoli frowned and shouted quickly. Naruto, don't be nervous, try it again quickly, I can only rely on you now. Naruto nodded and used the turtle Qigong wave again. I tried several times in succession, but they were exactly the same as the first time. They disappeared without a trace before they could attack Pain and the others. Unconsciously, cold sweat covered Naruto's forehead. Looking at Jiraiya's state, he also knew that Jiraiya could no longer control pain and planetary devastation. Jiraiya frowned as he felt the power getting stronger and stronger under the restraint of 10,000 Kingdoms shocking palm. Naruto, your chakra conversion is insufficient. In this case, you can only increase the amount of chakra. Pervy Sage, I have already done what you said, but it still doesn't work. Naruto was worried. Use the power of 9 tails. Hurry up and Pain will break free from me. Jiraiya shouted. With the power of 9 tails. But what should I do to use its power? Naruto tried hard to suppress the tension in his heart, forced himself to calm down, and slowly closed his eyes. For a moment, the scene of the fight with Orochimaru and the scene of beating Mito Katobu and the others flooded into his mind. Naruto tried hard to find that feeling. Suddenly, Naruto's consciousness entered his own mental space. A corridor covered with water appeared in his field of vision. Naruto quickly walked towards the end of the corridor and saw a gate like an iron fence. Within the gate, a huge shadow was constantly swaying with 9 thick embryonic tails. Naruto, did you come to me because you need my power? The shadow suddenly opened its eyes, and its pupils were filled with blood-red light, making people feel heart-stopping. Ninetales' voice echoed in every corner of the corridor and lingered for a long time. Smelly fox, you have lived in my body for so long, it's time to pay some rent. When Naruto thought that Pervy Sage was in dire straits, he was in no mood and his attitude became extremely bad. Pay rent. When Ninetales heard these 3 words, his heart twitched. Not long ago, a person about the same age as Naruto said these 3 words to himself. Thinking of that incident, Ninetales' body couldn't help but tremble a little. It's really terrible. Smelly fox, pay the rent. Naruto held the seal tightly with both hands and shook it constantly. Ah, good. Ninetales' mouth twitched, and an extremely large amount of chakra overflowed and slowly fell on Naruto's body. Outside, Naruto opened his eyes suddenly, his pupils had turned red, and he was also wearing the tailed beast chakra coat. 7 tails. Jiraiya glanced at Naruto, his face full of doubts. He didn't understand why Naruto hadn't transformed into a tailed beast yet despite having 7 tails. Moreover, it seems that the consciousness has not been swallowed up by Ninetales' consciousness. Nagato looked at this scene, feeling an ominous premonition in his heart, and quickly released the more powerful Shinra Tensei. This is the first time he has seen this situation. Pervy Sage, I'm here. Naruto whispered, and the aura on his body changed greatly. Turtle, Pi, Chi, Gong, Wave. Following a loud shout, a red and blue light wave with a wide range and great power suddenly shot out with a terrifying aura. This power is actually much greater than what Jiraiya-sensei had at that time. Nagato felt the swaying mountains and took a breath of cold air. If this blow hits Tiandao and the others, it will definitely disappear, not even a single dregs will be left. We can't let him completely destroy Yahiko's body. Nagato was extremely nervous. He clapped his hands and a large amount of chakra surged out of his body. It was transported into Pain Tiandao's body through the black rod inserted on his back. At the same time, all the chakra in Pain's body was transferred to Pain's body by Nagato. Super Shinra Tensei. Tiandao roared and instantly broke free from the shackles of 10,000 Kingdoms' shocking palm. There was not much chakra left in Jiraiya's body, and now that he encountered such a tyrannical force, he was naturally helpless. As soon as Tiandao broke free from the restraints, he saw the other 2 Pain turning into ashes in front of him. The speed of the turtle Qigong wave is too fast, and there is nowhere to escape. At the critical moment, he tried his best to attract planetary devastation with the all-powerful celestial yin, blocking his own body. Although the planetary devastation is very large in size, it seems so insignificant in front of the turtle-style Qigong wave. Planetary devastation was like a block of tofu meeting an 81 hammer. It exploded instantly and turned into dust scattered between the sky and the earth. Tiandao's lower body also turned into ashes in an instant. If it weren't for Nagato's quick reaction and the use of spiritualism to summon Tiandao back in a very short period of time, Tiandao would have been completely annihilated by the wave of turtle Qigong. After smashing the planetary devastation, the power of the turtle sect Qigong wave was not reduced, and it rushed towards the moon, exploding on the surface of the moon like an atomic bomb. The moment it exploded, a huge crater was left on the surface of the moon. Pervy Sage. Jiraiya-sama. Seeing that the danger was over, Naruto, Shaoli, Shizune and others quickly ran up to check on Jiraiya's condition. I'm fine. Jiraiya dragged his exhausted body, forced himself to sit up, and looked at Naruto very seriously. The 7 chakra tails on Naruto were really eye-catching. As far as he knew, under normal circumstances, when 3 to 4 tails emerge using the power of a tailed beast, Jinchuriki will gradually lose consciousness and cannot maintain its human form. But now Naruto's situation seems so different. After looking at it for a long time, a gentle smile appeared on Jiraiya's face. Naruto, good job. Shaoli, your performance is also good. The pale Jiraiya stood up slowly, looked at the location where Tiandao was just now, and said silently, Nagato, farewell. Then he walked towards Tsunade Heim. Seeing Tsunade Hime still looking extremely scared, Jiraiya felt heartbroken. Jiraiya stroked Tsunade Hime's hair and secretly swore in his heart that he must find a way to make Tsunade Hime no longer afraid of blood. Let's go home. Jiraiya picked up Tsunade Hime in a princess hug and slowly walked towards Konoha village. Shizune stared at Jiraiya's back, feeling an unprecedented sense of security come to her mind, and secretly said, "It would be great if Tsunade-sama could marry Jiraiya-sama." Not far away, in the belly of the mountain, Nagato, who was breathless, coughed violently several times and vomited a large pool of blood. The operation just now consumed a large amount of his chakra, making his already ailing physical condition even worse. Watching Jiraiya and the others leaving, Nagato sighed deeply. "Jiraiya-sensei, Uzumaki Naruto, it seems that I have greatly underestimated your strength." Nagato stroked the half-broken body of Tiandao, feeling extremely heartbroken, and blamed himself. "Yahiko, I'm so useless, I can't even protect your body." "Don't worry, I will definitely protect Konan, and I will never let him get hurt in the slightest." Sensing Yi Fan, Itachi and Kisame standing in the rain-hidden village, Nagato cast a secret method similar to reverse spiritualism and returned to the rain-hidden village. Yuyin Village, within the exclusive building. Konan was still looking at the scenery outside the house as usual. But his mood was a little different from usual, and he also discovered the traces of Mark in the three of them. "Intruder," Konan said to himself expressionlessly, as if he didn't take Mark and the three of them to heart at all. "Now that you're here, get ready to hit the road," Konan murmured, as if killing Mark, Itachi and Kisame was just a trivial matter. Suddenly, she heard a voice from the roof of the house, and instantly understood that it was Nagato who was back. "Nagato, the speed this time is much slower than before. Has Nine Tails Jinchuriki been captured?" Konan continued to look at the scenery outside the house without looking back. She was very confident in Nagato's strength. In her opinion, there is no one in this world who is Nagato's opponent. Even the man who calls himself Uchiha Madara. Cough cough cough. A violent coughing sound made Konan turn around. The moment she turned around, her face was filled with disbelief, and her eyes were full of disbelief. "Nagato, are you injured?" Konan shouted loudly and quickly ran over to check the situation. "Ah, it's just a small injury, it's not a big problem, cough cough cough." Nagato tried his best to pretend that nothing was wrong, but he was betrayed by the blood he kept coughing up. "Nagato, what is going on? How come your breath has become so low?" Konan spoke anxiously, his eyes filled with worry. "I'm fine, I just underestimated the strength of Jiraiya-sensei and Six Tails Jinchuriki, and was put together." Nagato replied feebly, and then asked, "Do you know about Uchiha Itachi and the others coming?" Konan nodded. "You have a good rest and leave the three of them to me." Hearing this, Nagato shook his head. "You alone are no match for them, Uchiha Itachi is very difficult to deal with. And, Uchiha Yi Fan seems to be very strong as Madara said. Teacher Jiraiya seems to have high expectations for him." Quote, "Nagato, you don't have to worry about this matter. I have my own sense of discretion. Since they are looking at the hidden rain village, I will never let them leave alive." Konan's tone was firm and full of confidence. "Just take good care of your injuries, and you don't have to worry about the next thing." After Konan left these words, his body turned into pieces of paper and slowly disappeared. "Konan, don't be impulsive, be careful." After Nagato shouted, he immediately started making pain again. He knows what level of opponents Konan will face. Without his help, there will definitely be big problems. The entrance to Yuyin Village. Yi Fan, Itachi, and Kisame stood side by side, facing hundreds of ninjas from Yuyin Village. "Mr. Yi Fan, our infiltration seems to have failed," Gansaki Kisame said. "No, as long as we kill them all, we will have a perfect infiltration," Yi Fan said with a smile. Chapter 71. Ah, haha, what Mr. Yi Fan said does seem to make sense. Kisame Kazaki smiled a little confusedly, and after thinking about it carefully, he found that it was indeed the case. As long as everyone who finds them is killed, no one will know about it. There is also an Uchiha clan member from Konoha Hidden Village. The leading ninja in Yuyin Village looked at Yi Fan and the others with frosty faces, without any hesitation, and directly ordered them to be killed. In their eyes, as long as they are ninjas from other countries, they must die. Over the years, this was the first time they had seen a ninja who dared to enter Yuyan village so arrogantly. All the ninjas of Yuyan village had playful smiles on their faces. They believed that the three people in their field of vision were lighting lanterns in the toilet and looking for death. The moment the order was given, hundreds of ninjas, holding various weapons in their hands, went crazy towards Yi Fan and the others. Yi Fan's face was as calm as water. He stood there with his hands in his hands and looked at them quietly, without any intention of taking action again. It is really difficult for him to have any interest in this group of small fish and shrimps. Go to hell, Konoha invaders. Be careful in the next life, keep your eyes open, and don't come to Yuyan village, which is ruled by gods, again. The dozen or so people who were the fastest arrived 5 meters away from Yi Fan and the others in just the blink of an eye. The raindrops hitting their faces made their expressions look more ferocious and arrogant. A village ruled by gods is not a small talk. Even Mr. Yi Fan has never claimed to be a god. What qualifications does Pain have to call himself a god? Kisame sneered, and with one sweeping sweep, he instantly knocked away all the dozen ninjas who were coming towards him. They were lying on the ground in a mess, their life or death unknown. Kisame put his hands together and quickly formed seals. Just when he was about to use ninjutsu to kill them all, he saw all the ninjas in a Megakure village, with a red light flashing in their eyes. As soon as the light fell, all the ninjas stood motionless with dull eyes, like a walking zombie without a soul. Did Mr. Itachi take action? Anekasaki Kisame had a smile on his face. Even though he had seen Itachi take action more than once over the years, he still felt so shocked when he saw it again. Before he finished speaking, the bodies of the hundreds of ninjas in Yuyan village ignited with blazing black fire out of thin air. In just half a breath, all the ninjas of Yuyan village were reduced to ashes and flowed into the sewers with the rain. Seeing hundreds of ninjas being killed instantly, Kisame Inakasaki praised, as expected of Mr. Itachi. Yi Fan also smiled and nodded. Although Amaterasu didn't have much effect against the top experts, it was still very powerful against ordinary jonin. If nothing else, it's convenient. You don't need to do anything, just close your eyes and open them, and you're done. Let's go. Yi Fan nodded slightly and stepped into Yuyan village first. The villagers of Yuyan village watched this scene from a distance and were so frightened that they quickly closed their doors. In their eyes, those ninjas are already an insurmountable mountain. But today, they were all killed instantly by just one look. This made them feel fear and uneasiness like never before. The villagers shivered and leaned in the corners of the house, got into bed and covered their heads tightly with quilts. They kept calling out from the bottom of their hearts, praying for God to take action and completely eliminate the intruders for them. The villagers who were a little bolder observed Yi Fan and the others through the crack in the door. Suddenly, they saw thousands of papers slowly falling from the sky. The villagers who saw this scene were so excited that they were like people about to drown, grabbing a life-saving straw. Don't be afraid, everyone, the gods of our Yuyan village have arrived. Those 3 intruders will live to the end. As these 2 voices sounded, almost everyone calmed down in an instant, and there was no trace of fear in their hearts. They opened the locked doors one after another, knelt on the ground, and worshipped devoutly. It's like welcoming the arrival of gods and the emergence of the Savior. Yi Fan and the others looked at the villagers who were kneeling down one after another with different expressions, thinking that the people in this place were really talking nonsense. Yi Fan looked at this scene and suddenly felt that Nagato was very talented in the 1040 Sunshine Project. They have not ruled Kurigakure village for too long, but they have been able to change the minds of everyone in this place to such an extent. Without 2 brushes, nothing can be done. Uchiha Itachi, Uchiha Ivan, and Kisame Kazaki, you wantonly slaughter God's people. Have you ever thought about the consequences? Among the thousands of pieces of paper, a voice sounded calm but filled with murderous intent. Uchiha Itachi, Kisame Kazaki, how dare you 2 betray God? Without the glory of God, you have only one way to go, death. Thousands of pieces of paper scattered in the air slowly came together, and a woman with short blue hair and extremely cold eyes appeared. The woman's body exudes dazzling light, floating in the air like an angel, and her pair of white wings are particularly eye-catching. When Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Kazaki heard this, they interrupted each other. He didn't seem to care too much about this God, who exuded bright light. Yi Fan didn't interrupt, but looked at Conan carefully. Conan's appearance is indeed very good. During the 10 years that Yi Fan and Jiraiya were together, they were either in the club or on the way to the club. Even so, among all the women I have ever met, there are very few who can compare with Conan in appearance and temperament. Conan's eyes looked at everyone as if they owed her $8 million, which perfectly highlighted her cold image. Itachi, Kisame, and Yi Fan, since you are all here, stay here forever. Conan whispered, and his body turned into pieces of paper again. The shape of the paper changed on its own and turned into shurikens. The speed was extremely fast, and the three of them were enveloped in an instant. Fire-style Great Fireball Technique. Water-style Water Dragon Bullet Technique. Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Kazaki were back-to-back, performing ninjutsu at the same time. In an instant, a large number of paper shurikens were burned by the flames, wetted by water-style, and rendered useless. However, there are still some paper shurikens that break through fire-style and water-style. Detonating charm, Uchiha Itachi whispered, and the three of them jumped away. The moment they left the place, there was a violent explosion, which directly caused a large crater with a radius of more than 10 meters on the ground. Yi Fan glanced at the large pit filled with smoke and chuckled. She is worthy of being a wealthy woman in the Hokage world. Even a normal attack has hundreds of detonating charms mixed into it. At this moment, Yi Fan felt a rush of heat coming from his ears. Uchiha Yi Fan, I'll send you on your way first. Conan, whose face was covered with frost, held a paper spear in his hand and stabbed Yi Fan in the waist without any hesitation. He's just a trash with no blood inheritance limit. Do you think that with the protection of Itachi and Kisame, you can come to a Megakure village and run wild? You are so naive, just as naive as Mr. Jiraiya. When taking action, Conan's eyes were constantly watching Itachi and Kisame, worried that they would make a sneak attack. After seeing that Itachi and Kisame were indifferent, Conan smiled disdainfully. Although I don't know what method you used to convince Itachi and Kisame to rebel, it seems like they don't care about your life or death. As soon as he finished speaking, Conan held the paper spear-carrying chakra and stabbed Yi Fan's body fiercely. Faced with such a cruel blow, Yi Fan spoke without looking back. Thanks to you for claiming to be gods, the information is too limited, isn't it? Can't you see that Itachi and Kisame respect me very much? It seems that it's not just panda-sized beauties who don't have brains. You, who can only produce a pair of aces when playing cards, don't have enough brains either. In Conan's horrified eyes, the paper spear stabbing Yi Fan continued to shatter. The scene she imagined did not appear, Yi Fan was still there happily. Seeing this scene, Conan felt bad. Yi Fan didn't seem to be a waste, and he quickly wanted to distance himself from him. Isn't it a bit rude to run away after you stabbed me? Yi Fan casually stretched out his hand and grabbed Conan's neck that could be broken by a bullet. With a strong tug, Conan was slammed to the ground. For a moment, a huge crater appeared on the ground that was far larger than the hundreds of detonating talismans just now. Kisame Kazaki looked at the huge pit and saw what it meant to be a real killer. He couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth and murmured. It's true, Conan, it's not good to attack anyone by surprise, but I want to attack Mr. Yi Fan by surprise. What's the difference between this and direct death? This power. Did he really use his own power to defeat Itachi and Kisame as Madara said? Conan's eyes widened, and his heart was in turmoil. Obviously, the information he has collected in the past few days shows that Yi Fan is a waste who has no blood inheritance limit and cannot practice. Why does it become so outrageous once it reaches the actual fighting stage? In the exclusive building, Nagato saw Conan being ravaged by Yi Fan wantonly, his brows furrowed tightly, his heart hurt so much, and he sped up the process of making pain. Conan, wait a moment, I will come to help you right away. Nagato watched Conan being ravaged. Although he felt uncomfortable, he did not lose his mind. He knew that if he wanted to deal with Itachi and Yi Fan at the same time, he would need Pain's help. Yi Fan looked at Conan, who slowly disappeared from his hands and reappeared in another place without being too injured. The corner of his mouth raised slightly. Is this the Shiki paper dance that is immune to physical damage? Conan stared at Yi Fan, feeling that today's matter might not be that simple. It seemed that it would take a lot of effort to completely obliterate Yi Fan and the others. However, She was only a little afraid of Mark and the others, and did not think she would fail. No matter how bad things go, there is still a trump card that can completely turn the situation around. Mr. Yi-fan, what will Mr. Weasel and I do next? Kisame asked for advice. During this time, he discovered one thing. Yi-fan seemed to like fighting very much. Without Yi-fan's permission, he would not dare to act rashly. You two just find a place to sit down and watch the show. I like to do the most difficult things. Yi-fan slowly raised his right hand. Conan's face sank when he heard this. She felt deep disdain from Mark's words. You will pay the price for your arrogance. Conan roared angrily and threw thousands of detonating charms at once. A large number of detonating symbols overlapped and rushed towards Yi-fan like a giant dragon. Yi-fan didn't take all this to heart at all. Since the dance of Shiki paper has the effect of immunity to physical attacks, then you should try this. A pale white light appeared in Yi-fan's palm. Wherever the light shines, a very terrifying aura bursts out. The rainwater evaporated before it even got close to that ray of light. Yi-fan's eyes darkened, and a pale white light suddenly shot out. The giant dragon formed by overlapping thousands of detonating symbols, as soon as it touched that ray of light, was annihilated like chickens and dogs, without even having time to explode. Puff! The pale white light shone on Conan, instantly piercing her body. At a glance, no part of the clothes on his body was intact. Feeling the severe pain in his body, Conan vomited a large pool of blood. Conan stared at Yi-fan in shock, his mind going blank. Doesn't Yi-fan not have a trace of chakra in his body? Why can this level of ninjutsu be released? Why is he still being hurt when he is clearly in the state of Shiki paper dance? For a time, countless questions flooded into my mind. Before she could think too much, 2 more rays of light fell on her. The intense pain made her scream. A large amount of blood soaked the clothes, and under the heavy rain, the air was filled with a faint smell of blood. The villagers of Yuyan village looked at this scene with shock written on their faces. They couldn't believe that the god of their village would become so embarrassed. They stared at Yi-fan's back, their minds instantly occupied by fear. Yi-fan, like a devil, hovers in their hearts. Uzumaki Nagato, that shrunken turtle, isn't he here to save you? Yi-fan stared at Conan coldly, his tone extremely cold. The power of each of his blows was controlled very well, allowing Conan to feel pain without directly killing her. The reason why Conan was not killed directly was to let her feel more despair. Nagato, he is the god of this world, and cannot be insulted by you, a mere mortal. Conan roared angrily and rushed towards Mark. Yi-fan raised his hand and pulled it away, thinking that there was no mercy at all. Before time travel, although Conan was not the direct murderer of Jiraiya, he also had murderous intentions towards Jiraiya. Apart from anything else, the path Yi-fan has chosen now is completely different and opposite to the path Conan and the others have chosen. As long as Yi-fan doesn't give up fulfilling Jiraiya's will, there will be a battle between them. The kind of battle that must end with the complete death of one party. Yi-fan's face was as cold as frost, and the condensed light on his hand shot out again. Conan, who was covered in bruises, quickly evaded as fast as he could. She could clearly feel that this ray of light was completely different from the previous ones. This time, this light contained too much terrifying and destructive aura. Shinra Tenzhang. Just when the light is about to fall on Conan, pain appears. The strong repulsive force formed something similar to a protective circle around him, protecting Conan. When the pale white light wave encountered the repulsive force, it was hindered, but it was still moving forward. When Pain saw this, he frowned, and it took a lot of effort to block the light wave. Looking at the 2 cracks dragged out of the ground, which were more than 200 meters long, Pain instantly realized that Yi-fan's strength was much stronger than he imagined. This ninjutsu seems to come from the same school as the ninjutsu used by Jiraiya-sensei and Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Pain's face was as gloomy as water, and he carefully observed Yi-fan and was ready. Although the man in front of him looked like just a young man, he smelled danger. An indescribable feeling surged into his heart. This was something he had never felt before. Even when facing Jiraiya, facing Naruto's turtle-style Qigong wave, facing the masked man, and facing Sancho Hanzo, I have never felt this way. Conan, you leave first and leave this to me. Pain took a deep look at this person who had been with him day and night for many years, and said decisively, "Go as far as you can, I will come find you after everything is over." Conan looked at Pain's back and shook his head. "Nagato, I will advance and retreat with you." Conan is not a fool, and she naturally understood the meaning of Pain's words. Moreover, she can also feel personally what kind of powerful power Yi Fan possesses. "Conan, listen to me and get out of here." Pain's tone was a little urgent. "Nagato, Uchiha Yi Fan is too strong. If the two of us work together, we might be able to gain a chance of survival. If I escape, you will definitely die." At this point, Conan realized the truth. She knew that under an attack of Yi Fan's level, even if Nagato had the Samsara Eye, he would not be his opponent. Moreover, it seems that even now, Yi Fan has not used his full strength. What's more, there are two strong men, Uchiha Itachi and Inagaki Kisame, watching eagerly from the side. Conan glanced at the sea not far away and whispered, "Nagato, let's lead Mark over there." Seeing that Conan had made his own decision, Nagato nodded slowly. "Pay attention to that strange light wave. That kind of light wave is extremely powerful. Let's find a way to get close to Yi Fan and start a close combat with him." As soon as he finished speaking, Shiradao launched a fierce attack. Thousands of cannonballs rained down on Yi Fan. Zhu Shengdao used his psychic technique and summoned 7 or 8 different types of huge psychic beasts. The other Pain also used their strongest ninjutsu. Nagato did not dare to be careless and used all his strength from the beginning. He knew very well in his heart that when facing a strong man of Yi Fan's level, he must go all out and not make any mistakes. If there is a mistake somewhere, it will cause unbearable serious consequences, and there will be no recovery. Yi Fan looked at the fierce attack coming towards him with a calm expression and no disturbance in his mind. "Uzumaki Nagato, you claim to be a god, but you only have the power of an ant. Don't you think it's ridiculous? A scammer who was cheated by a scammer who was cheated by a scammer cheated, dare to be arrogant, claims to be god. To a certain extent, your nuclear weapons concept is indeed very feasible and can bring short-term peace to the world. However, I disagree with what you are doing. Moreover, I can still clearly feel the aura of Nine Tails chakra from your body, which proves that you have taken action against people you can never offend. Today, you have only one way to go, and that is death." Yi Fan's eyes became colder and colder, and the killing intent on his body spread in all directions, permeating the world like a substance. The majestic heavy rain turned the surrounding buildings into ice sculptures under the cold murderous aura. When he thought of the scene of Nagato killing Jiraiya in his previous life, the anger in Yi Fan's heart couldn't stop surging. Attacks all over the sky followed one after another, and Yi Fan slowly raised his right hand, with a dazzling light shining in the palm of his hand. Yi Fan's eyes darkened, and waves of light shot out at extremely fast speeds, instantly drowning Pain's sky-wide attacks. Boom! There was a loud noise accompanied by a flash of white light, and there was no drop of rain in the sky for several hundred meters, as if a big hole had been punched out. Inagaki Kisame and Uchiha Itachi looked at this scene and were so surprised that they couldn't speak clearly. Even though it was not the first time I saw Yi Fan take action, it still felt so shocking every time I saw it. Compared to Pain, who claims to be a god, they feel that Yi Fan is more like a god who has descended into the world. Nagato and Conan watched this scene, their hearts could not stop trembling. They guessed right, Yi Fan's strength was no longer something they could compete with. We must use the advantage brought by the Samsara Eye to defeat Yi Fan with close combat. Nagato murmured and controlled 6 Pain to kill Yi Fan. At this moment, he was extremely serious and activated the vision sharing of the Samsara Eye to the extreme. Looking at the 6 pens coming from all directions, Yi Fan was very disdainful. With a fierce stamp of both feet, the ground beneath his feet collapsed instantly, and his body disappeared in a flash, far beyond the limit that could be seen with the naked eye. Even if Nagato has the strongest eyes in the world, he cannot capture any of Yi Fan's movements. Boom! There was a loud noise, and the 5 pens except Tiandao were punched by Yi Fan almost at the same time. Tiandao Pain was also slapped in the face by Yi Fan with a big dick, and was smashed into the ground, leaving a huge crater with a radius of 1 kilometer in place. This, Yi Fan. How can Yi Fan's close combat ability be so strong? Nagato's eyes were dull, and his face was not only shocked but also shocked. The reincarnation eyes that he had always been proud of lost their luster when facing Yifan and turned into useless eyes. Conan took a breath, his eyes widened, and his beautiful face turned pale with shock. The strength shown by Yifan made her feel what true despair was. Kisame Kazaki was shocked and murmured, "Mr. Yifan seems very angry." Uchiha Itachi nodded, which he discovered when they first entered the Hidden Rain village. What is it that makes Mr. Yifan so angry? Gansaki Kisame was puzzled. He didn't expect that Yifan, who had always had a good temper, would have such an angry side. When the villagers in Yuyan village saw this scene, they huddled on the ground and shivered in fear. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed that the supreme god in their minds could be so embarrassed. The villagers tried their best to close the door and kept praying in their hearts, praying that the god in their hearts could defeat Yifan. The ninjas who heard the movement and came from all directions to support them were stunned when they saw this scene, dumbfounded. In their hearts, Pain is a god, and no one can defeat him. But at this moment, all their faith was shattered. Yifan glanced at Tiandao, who was lying in the huge pit with his shirt completely broken. He took a step forward, slowly stretched his body, and stood in midair, looking down at everyone. "You are the so-called god. You are too weak, right? Uzumaki Nagato, feel the pain, experience the pain, accept the pain, understand the pain. Pain will make you understand that there are some people you can't touch." Yifan stared at Tiandao indifferently and stretched out a finger. The energy on his fingers circulated, turning into a sword-like light that spurted out and pierced Tiandao's body in the blink of an eye. After a long sword fell, countless long swords appeared, all of them falling on Tiandao. For a moment, Tiandao's body was cut into nanometer-level smoke and dust by the dense swords, and dissipated between the heaven and the earth. Nagato looked at all this, and a deep feeling of powerlessness came to his heart. Even though he tried his best to resist with the Shinra Tianzhong, it still had no effect. The invincible Shinluo Tianzhong is like a paper tiger under those lightsabers, so small and so vulnerable. Yahiko. Conan stared at the disappearing Tiandao Pain, roared heartbreakingly, and bursts of tears burst out of his eyes. Pain and anger filled my heart in an instant, and even breathing was so difficult. This is the second time I see you disappear in front of me. I will never let him go. I want to avenge you. Conan roared and threw thousands of paper shurikens at Yifan. All paper shurikens were made of detonating talismans. After throwing the paper shuriken, Conan ran towards the sea not far away with all his strength. Yifan looked at the direction she was leaving and instantly understood what she wanted to do. Humph, it's just a desperate struggle. Yifan snorted coldly, without any intention to stop him. Instead, he followed him unhurriedly. He wanted to try out how powerful ninjutsu, which was composed of 600 billion detonating talismans, could reach. Conan observed Yifan's situation while running, and watched him follow him with a cold smile on his face. Today, I will let you be buried with Yahiko's body. Mr. Weasel, let's follow too. Kisame Kazaki whispered and immediately started running. Uchiha Itachi looked at the direction Conan was running in and noticed something was wrong, but he didn't hesitate and followed him directly. The two of them always maintained a distance of about 500 meters from Conan, without accelerating or slowing down. Nagato, who was hidden in the tall building, saw this scene and instantly understood what Conan was going to do, and quickly prepared the planetary devastation in secret. The planetary devastation to be prepared this time is an unprecedented planetary devastation. Nagato poured 2/3 of the chakra into it, thinking that if Conan did not kill Yifan, he would seal it forever. In just a few seconds, Conan rushed to the sea. At this point, Conan gradually stopped, slowly turned around and looked directly at Mark with a cold face, and the breath on his body became extremely cold. Uchiha Yifan, I originally planned to use this move on Uchiha Madara, but I have to use it on you today. Be aware that today is your Memorial Day next year. And you, Uchiha, Itachi, and Kisame Kazaki, please stay here forever. Quote. In a world without light, flowers will only wither. Conan formed a seal with his hands and shouted. The art of the god's paper user. In an instant, the sea for several kilometers in radius collapsed, and cracks more than 10 meters wide appeared one after another. Under the sea, as far as the eye can see, there are detonating symbols one after another. This sea is actually all disguised with detonating charms. Kisame, who had fallen into the sea of detonating talismans, frowned and turned pale with shock. Mr. Itachi, be careful. Kisame looked at Itachi, who was surrounded by the detonating symbols that exploded one after another, and quickly formed the seal, sea release, sea dragon technique. In an instant, a giant dragon with a width of 40 to 50 meters and a length of 300 to 400 meters appeared, wrapping Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Kazaki. Violent explosions continuously impacted the dragon that fell into the abyss, blowing off the dragon's tail in the blink of an eye. Mr. Weasel, let's go rescue Mr. Yi-fan. Even Mr. Yi-fan may not be able to contend with an explosion of this level. Uchiha Itachi didn't say anything when he heard this, and immediately activated the complete Susanoo, and also covered Kisame. When he opened the Mangekyo Sharingan, he saw that Yi-fan had completely fallen into the deepest part of the sea of detonating symbols. The two looked at each other, and Itachi controlled the complete Susanoo and ran towards Yi-fan. Flying all the way, many places in Susanoo have been bombed into craters. Moreover, even so, the explosion still showed no intention of stopping. Kisame Kazaki glanced at the constantly crumbling Susanoo, and immediately formed a seal, sea release, oversea clothes technique. In an instant, he was completely beyond Susanoo and immediately put on a coat with a thickness of 60 or 70 meters. Susanoo's figure also swelled in an instant, looking mighty and majestic. Let's go, Mr. Itachi. The overseas code isolated most of the explosion, taking huge damage to Susanoo. After flying for 30 or 40 seconds amid the violent explosion, Itachi and Kisame, standing in the Susanoo, finally saw Yi-fan's figure. There was no trace of sunlight, and everything was filled with darkness. At the bottom of the sea of symbols, Yi-fan, whose whole body was shining with golden light, looked particularly eye-catching and eye-catching. Mr. Yi-fan, leave quickly. Ganshi Kisame shouted. Yi-fan, who was controlling his energy to resist the explosion, had excitement written all over his face at this time. He had not felt this kind of excitement for a long time. Itachi, Kisame, you go first, don't worry about me. Yi-fan laughed loudly. This kind of smell that made him feel a slight danger made him very happy. This feeling has never been felt since the battle with Uchiha Itachi when he was 3 years old. He enjoys the current atmosphere very much. Mr. Yi-fan, you. Gansaki Kisame still had some worries in his heart. After all, this level of ninjutsu was something he had never seen before. Itachi, Kisame, the explosion will last for 10 minutes. You should hurry up and leave. Yi-fan raised the corner of his mouth, waved his hand, and a strong wind blew Susanoo away, directly out of the explosion range. Next, I will enjoy this long-lost feeling. Yi-fan laughed loudly. Outside the Fuhai, Conan looked at the very large Susanoo and couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. I thought Itachi and Kisame had been buried in the Fuhai, but I never thought that they were not even injured at all. Nagato looked at all this and was very surprised. Susanoo was a ninjutsu he had never seen before. Conan looked around, looking for Yi-fan. After scanning around, I didn't see Mark's figure, so I was reluctantly relieved. However, she still had some bad premonitions in her heart. She always felt that Yi-fan would reappear intact. This mood lasted until 9 minutes after the explosion, and then gradually disappeared. Yi-fan, even if you were a god and came to this world, you wouldn't be able to survive under this ninjutsu. Conan laughed loudly and turned to look at Kisame and Uchiha Itachi not far away. Next, it's your turn. Conan's face was full of smiles, the smile of revenge. Just when she was immersed in her happy mood, there was a sudden burst of heat in her ears, and the voice that made her extremely annoying sounded one after another. Conan, I haven't been this excited in a long, long time. The hot air blew the hair around Conan's ears flying. Conan's face was startled, and he turned around slowly with a stiff expression. Conan, this ninjutsu of yours is really good. It can almost scratch my skin. There was a smile on Yi-fan's face, and there was still a trace of residual pleasure in his eyes. Conan stared at the unharmed Yi-fan with dull eyes, his mind went blank. She couldn't believe that all of this was true. There were 600 billion detonating talismans, which blew up Yi-fan for 10 minutes. However, Even so, he still failed to kill Yi Fan, not even leaving a trace of traceable scars. How strong is Yi Fan? Is there anyone in this world who can be his opponent? This idea has been filling Conan's mind for a long time. The fact that Yi Fan was still alive stunned Conan, making her forget about running away and just stayed there stupidly. Nagato was also shocked when he saw Yi Fan, who was unharmed. He knew that if he faced an explosion of that level, there would be no way he could survive. Just from this incident, he understood the gap between himself and Mark. Nagato took a breath of cold air and shouted quickly, "Conan, run away." Upon hearing this, Uchiha Itachi and Ingeki Kisami's eyes immediately fell on the tall building. Pen is not truly dead yet. It seems that the one hidden in that tall building is the real Pen. Itachi murmured to himself. Kisame Kazaki nodded slightly, agreeing with Itachi's speculation. Looking at the tall building where the shouting came from, Itachi and Kisame didn't make any move. They still stood there like outsiders, watching everything. Yi Fan didn't feel any surprise when he heard the shout of Nagato's body. He sensed Nagato's aura a long time ago. Conan, whose eyes were dull, immediately realized that he was in danger when he heard this and ran away in a hurry. Having just controlled the explosion of 600 billion detonating talismans, Conan's chakra was running low and he could no longer maintain the ninjutsu-style paper dance. This means that even an ordinary physical attack can easily kill her. After Conan escaped 70 or 80 meters, Yi Fan moved slightly and immediately appeared above her. A real man's romance is about punching to the flesh. Yi Fan didn't hesitate at all. He raised his hand and punched Conan in the chest. In an instant, Conan's chest exploded, and the blood spurted out, sprinkling on the ground and gradually flowing away with the rain. Yi Fan glanced at the lifeless Conan and threw her body on the ground casually. Gansaki Kisame looked at Yi Fan's stern face and couldn't help but feel his heart tremble. He felt unprecedented indifference from Mark. In the tall building, Nagato watched all this, his pupils dilated rapidly, and he climbed forward desperately. With a bang, Nagato fell from his chair to the ground. His heart was in a knife-like state, and lines of blood and tears flowed from his eyes. Anger, pain, heartache, and all kinds of extremely sad emotions all surged into my heart in an instant. Conan, Uchiha Yi Fan, I want you to be buried with Conan. I am going to kill you. Ah! Nagato, who fell to the ground, screamed heartbreakingly, and his voice spread to every corner of Yuyan village. The rain was getting heavier and heavier, and the pitch-black sky became darker, as if time had been pressed on the fast-forward button and suddenly entered the dark night. The villagers and ninjas of Yuyan village felt unprecedentedly depressed when they heard the roar echoing in their ears. Nagato, with blood and tears hanging from the corners of his eyes, was so angry that he closed his hands fiercely and clapped them together. Super-planetary devastation. As the roar gradually disappeared, the planetary devastation that Nagato had prepared in advance suddenly appeared in the sky above a Megakure village. Planetary devastation is like a small moon, covering the entire Yuyan village, blocking all light. For a time, the entire Yuyan village became pitch black, and it was impossible to see even one's fingers. The strong sense of oppression caused a commotion. The entire Yuyan village was filled with screams of fear, and everyone was fleeing from here, trying their best to escape from Yuyan village. My people, instead of living in this world cursed by hatred, it is better for them all to be buried with Conan. Nagato laughed maniacally, and an extremely powerful suction force came from the planetary devastation. In an instant, the entire Yuyan village turned into ruins, and countless building fragments gathered towards the little moon at an extremely fast speed. The villagers and ninjas who fled far away were sucked up almost at the same time. Faced with such a powerful suction force, Uchiha Itachi quickly activated Susanoo. However, even so, it still cannot resist the strong suction coming from the little moon. Sea escape hand of the sea. Seeing this, Kisame Inagangaki quickly activated ninjutsu. A big hand that was thousands of meters tall appeared out of the sky and hit the little moon hard, barely relieving Susanoo's pressure. However, even so, it still could not completely stop Susanoo from flying towards the little moon. This ninjutsu. Kisame Kazaki stared at the little moon in shock. That big hand, which was thousands of meters tall, only occupied less than 1/10 of the area. Almost all people and objects in and around Yuyan village were forcibly sucked in by planetary devastation. Only Yifan remained standing, seemingly not affected at all. Nagato looked at the motionless Yifan and went completely crazy, transferring most of the suction force to him. Facing the unusually powerful suction, Yifan looked at Itachi and Kisame, and asked calmly, "Do you have a way to save your eyes?" Hearing this, they immediately understood what Yifan meant and nodded, "Okay. That's good," Yifan whispered and gradually closed his hands. Turtle, Pi, Chi, Gong, Wave. An extremely thick, blue light wave suddenly shot out and hit the little moon hard. The light wave flashed away, and dissipated with it was the huge planetary devastation that enveloped the entire Yuyan village. The light waves dispersed, and clarity returned to the sky. The long-lost sunshine once again shines on this land. Seeing the planetary devastation completely dissipated, the villagers and ninjas of Yuyan village collapsed on the ground and let out a long sigh of relief. At this moment, they also understood that the gods they had always believed in did not seem to be so good. Yifan glanced at the tall building and appeared in front of Nagato in the blink of an eye. Looking at Nagato, who had completely fallen into madness, Yifan's mood did not fluctuate. He was responsible for all this. "I think if Yahiko hadn't died, he wouldn't have let you choose to do something. Uzumaki Nagato, go underground and think carefully." Quote. Yifan stepped forward and grabbed Nagato's neck, his eyes filled with murderous intent. The powerful force made Nagato breathless, and he just stared at Mark. My pain is far greater than all of yours." Nagato roared angrily against the strong sense of oppression, and his eyes were covered with blood mist. The pair of reincarnation eyes had completely turned into blood red at this moment. As the roar fell, the tall building was smashed into pieces by an extremely powerful force, and an extremely terrifying aura filled the world. Yifan glanced at the roaring monster outside and said calmly, "Is this the body of 10 tails, Gedo statue? What kind of monster is this? Pain's strength is really unfathomable." Kisame Mikigaki looked at the humanoid monster that smashed the tall building with one foot, felt the terrifying aura coming towards his face, and couldn't help but exclaimed. Uchiha Itachi was also shocked when he saw this scene. He could clearly feel that the huge humanoid monster contained extremely powerful power in its body, which was far beyond comparison with ordinary psychic beasts. "Uchiha Yifan, go to hell!" Nagato roared, and Gedo statue, whose eyes were tightly closed, stretched out a big hand and slapped Yifan fiercely. Before his palm fell on Yifan, the ground around Yifan began to collapse. In an instant, sand and rocks were flying, and dust and smoke were everywhere. When the palm carrying powerful power was about to touch Yifan, Yifan dodged and dodged. His big hand slapped the air, leaving a huge palm print on the ground, surrounded by dense cracks. Without the chakra of the other tailed beasts, the Gedo statue has only this power. It seems to be far from the power of 9 tails. Yifan glanced at Nagato, whose back was covered with black sticks, and murmured to himself. Nagato's health was not good to begin with, and he was already skinny. Now he looked even more sluggish, and his breath was also very weak. His face was lifeless, and his whole body was filled with the aura of death. In this state, even if Mark didn't kill him, he wouldn't survive more than 3 days. Alas, Yifan sighed and shook his head in disappointment. "I have long heard that Gedo statue has very powerful power, and I wanted to see it. Only after seeing it did I realize that the power of this legendary Gedo statue is not as powerful as those detonating talismans." Quote. Only by being infinitely close to death can we understand the true meaning of life. Over the years, Yifan has been looking for this feeling. What makes him very helpless is that there is no power in this world that can threaten his life. In one battle after another, Yifan felt the loneliness of being invincible and invincible at a high place. Looking at the world, no one is his opponent. Suddenly, Yifan felt a very familiar breath. Turning around to look, Hidan and Kakuzu from the Akatsuki organization appeared in view. Hidan was carrying a boy, Gaara, on his shoulders. Looking at the visitor, Yifan became somewhat interested. What kind of power would Gedo statue have if it was blessed by one-tail Shukaku's chakra? Hidan and Kakuzu looked at the hidden village in ruins and were shocked. They really want to know what's going on here. After taking a look at Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Kazaki, and then at Yi Fan, who stood not far from Geto statue with a calm expression. They vaguely guessed something. Uzumaki Nagato, who was in extremely poor physical condition, also discovered their presence. When he saw one-tailed Jinchuriki Gaara, he felt happy and an evil smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. All things are attracted by heaven. Nagato didn't hesitate at all, and immediately activated ninjutsu to suck the three of them over. As soon as Gaara landed, dozens of black rods stretched out from the Geto statue, and all of them were inserted into Gaara's body. For a moment, Gaara was like a hedgehog, lying on the ground with his body hunched over. The severe pain made him wake up from his coma. After Gaara opened his eyes and saw clearly the situation outside, his expression changed drastically. Everything he saw in front of him deeply impacted his worldview. What kind of monster is this? How come all my chakra was sucked away by it? Gaara tried his best to break free from the black stick's control, but found that no matter what he did, he couldn't break free from it all. Nagato glanced at Gaara, feeling the chakra that was constantly pouring into Geto statue, and saw a glimmer of hope, the hope of killing Yi Fan. As the chakra in the body continued to pass away, Gaara's consciousness gradually became blurred. He could clearly feel that he was so close to death. Gaara's eyes turned black and he fainted completely. With Gaara losing all consciousness, the seal in his body seemed to have been opened with a huge gap. One-tail Shukaku's chakra continuously gushes out from the gap. Ha ha ha, kid, the day has finally come for you. I want to go out and play, I want to go out and play. I will be able to breathe the fresh air outside soon. I will have a lot of fun this time. One-tail Shukaku clearly felt that this time was different from the previous times. This time, it seems that the seal inside Gaara's body has completely disintegrated, and it can also completely appear in the outside world, with its full power appearing in the outside world. Gaara's body gradually transformed into a tailed beast. One-tail felt the air outside, and his heart was filled with excitement. Shukaku couldn't wait any longer. It wants to destroy the world as much as it wants. Yi Fan sat on the ruins, holding his chin with one hand and taking in everything. He had no intention of stopping this, but was somewhat looking forward to what level of power Geto statue would have after absorbing Shukaku's chakra. Is that monster absorbing Shukaku's power? It seems that Mr. Yi Fan has no intention of stopping this at all. Kisame Mikigaki said. Yes, Yi Fan seems to want to see how far that monster's strength can reach. Uchiha Itachi looked at the excitement in Yi Fan's eyes and was surprised. He really couldn't imagine what was in Yi Fan's mind. He really couldn't imagine how powerful Yi Fan was to make him so fearless. Mr. Yi Fan seems to really enjoy the feeling of fighting against powerful enemies. Inkasaki Kisame sighed with emotion. Uchiha Itachi nodded slightly and continued to look at Geto statue. So far, he can clearly feel the terrifying pressure coming from the Geto statue. Under Nagato's control, Geto statue absorbs chakra faster and faster. All the seals in Gaara's body had collapsed at this moment. One-tail's consciousness has all fallen to the outside world. Ha ha ha, I finally came out again, this time I. Shukaku was so excited that his voice became smaller and smaller. When he saw the current situation clearly, his expression changed drastically. Question mark question mark question mark. What are you going to do? What is going on? Shukaku yelled in confusion and struggled with all his strength, trying to break free from the shackles of the black stick. But, no matter how hard it struggled, it was meaningless. The black rod inserted into its body did not move at all. Feeling the chakra flowing through his body, Shukaku realized the seriousness of the matter. Don't, I want to go back, let me go back. It's so noisy. Nagato shouted, controlled Geto statue, slapped Shukaku on the face, and held it firmly. Faced with all this, Shukaku was completely powerless to resist. Nagato stared at Yi Fan, who was not far away, and he also saw that Yi Fan deliberately let him absorb Shukaku's chakra. HMPH, you will pay the price for your arrogance, the price of death. After a while, One-Tail's chakra was completely absorbed by the Geto statue, and Gaara was also thrown aside without knowing whether he was alive or dead. Finally, okay. Yi Fan yawned and slowly stood up. Uchiha Yi Fan, accept the wrath from the gods. Nagato roared ferociously, his eyes fixed on Mark. If looks could kill, I'm afraid Yi Fan would have been cut into pieces by 1,000 cuts. Yi Fan completely ignored Nagato, who had fallen into a state of madness, and looked at the ghetto statue with one eye open with interest. Feeling the powerful aura permeating the air, Yi Fan smiled slightly. Although the strength of this level is a lot weaker, it can still warm up a little. Yi Fan. Nagato roared angrily and controlled Ghetto statue to kill Yi Fan quickly. Because Ghetto statue absorbed one tail Shukaku's chakra, he was now able to move completely away from Nagato's body. Ghetto statue was like a giant with peerless power, killing Yi Fan in the blink of an eye. Two big hands closed together fiercely, surrounding Yi Fan in the center, making it impossible for him to escape. At the same time, the tentacles on Ghetto statue's back also released thunder and lightning that blocked the sky and blocked all corners in a radius of 20 meters. Within the blockade, even the air was filled with the smell of thunder and lightning. The huge slap came in an instant, trying to beat Yi Fan into a pulp. Yi Fan felt the strong wind that kept cutting on his face, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and a look of excitement flashed in his eyes. After absorbing the Ghetto statue of one-tail Shukaku chakra, he was not disappointed. Bring it on. Yi Fan opened his arms to resist Ghetto statue's two big hands. Although his figure looked extremely small in comparison, like an ant. But, in terms of strength, he is only strong but not weak. When Ghetto statue's big hands came into contact with Yi Fan's arms, he felt an extremely terrifying resistance. No matter what he did, he couldn't make even half a step forward. Yes, this kind of power is enough for me to warm up a little. Yi Fan laughed, turned around, opened his hand and hugged one of Ghetto statue's fingers. Then, with a movement of his waist, he threw the huge Ghetto statue over his shoulder and fell headfirst into the ground. In an instant, sand and rocks were flying, smoke and dust were everywhere, and a fierce wind blew. The earth within a radius of 1 kilometer was shattered almost at the same moment. Endless cracks stretch as far as the eye can see on the ground, which looks very visually impactful. How is this possible? It has already absorbed all of one-tail Shukaku's chakra, why? Nagato looked at the Ghetto statue that had fallen into the ground, his face turned pale and his heart was shocked. I thought that Ghetto statue, which had absorbed the one-tail chakra, could crush Yi Fan like it crushed Sancho Hanzo, but now it seems that is not the case. Uchiha Itachi and Mikigaki Kisame looked at this scene with huge waves in their hearts. They stared at Yi Fan's back, unable to imagine what level of power this 13 or 14-year-old boy possessed. Kisame Kazaki swallowed silently, the corners of his mouth twitched, and murmured. Mr. Yi Fan, is there really no limit to Mr. Yi Fan's strength? With this level of strength, even if the ninja god Senju Hashirama were alive, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to get any benefits from his hands, right? Uchiha Itachi nodded with a dull expression. The impact of the scene just now was too great for him. Every time Yi Fan made a move, he felt so incredible. His strength, looking at the entire ninja world, is probably unmatched by anyone. No wonder he wants to bring that ideal world to life. Maybe because he thinks that ruling the ninja world by force is meaningless. Mr. Weasel is absolutely right. If Mr. Yi Fan wants to rule the world by force, it may only be a matter of time. The corner of Genshi Kisami's mouth twitched. The strength shown by Yi Fan, even if he could use C-release, was still beyond his reach. In the Kamui space, Uchiha Obito, who had been hiding in the dark and observing all this, was also shocked at this time. The power Yi Fan possesses has far exceeded his imagination. At this moment, he was basically certain that even if he got back Kakashi's eye and had the power of Susanoo, he would never be Yi Fan's opponent. Yi Fan was too strong, so strong that he felt a little desperate. Obito knew in his heart that if he did not get rid of Yi Fan, the world in his heart would never be realized. However, how to get rid of Yi Fan has become a big problem. Black Zetsu, who was standing aside, stared at this scene and hurriedly asked Obito to close the space crack a little smaller. He was really scared from the bottom of his heart. Yi Fan suddenly appeared in front of him the next moment, pinched his neck and asked him if he had seen enough. Obito nodded and quickly closed the space crack, leaving only a tiny crack through which only a little bit of sight could pass. Why is Yi Fan so strong? Is he the reincarnation of Indra in this generation? It's impossible. Indra's reincarnation is not that strong. Yi Fan's current strength is almost comparable to Uchiha Madara at his peak. Heiju looked at Yi Fan very seriously through the tiny space cracks, secretly guessing in his heart. Seeing Yi Fan's strength, Heiju suddenly had a bold idea to trick him into joining. In Yuyan village, Gedo statue resisted Yi Fan for more than 10 punches in a row, and his head was already buzzing. It is indeed the body of 10 tails. Its vitality is really tenacious. It is just perfect for being used as a sandbag. Yi Fan muttered to himself, and his figure suddenly disappeared. When he reappeared, a big dick was slapped on Gedo statue's face. When the tiny palm came into contact with the huge faceplate, a force that the Gedo statue couldn't resist came one after another, and it flew for 3 or 4 kilometers before it came to a stop. It flew all the way backwards, cutting through the ground, leaving a deep ditch with thick smoke on the ground. Ouch! Gedo statue opened his bloody mouth and roared, running towards Yi Fan with all his strength, carrying outrageous thunder and lightning with him. The range of lightning is so wide that not a single blade of grass can grow within 100 meters. Looking at all this, Yi Fan felt like Shisui, calm, not afraid at all. Yi Fan flashed his steps and appeared 1,000 meters away in an instant, clenching a fist with one hand and rushing into the sea of thunder. The dense sea of thunder saw him, as if encountering a natural enemy, and kept avoiding him. Drink! Yi Fan punched the Gedo statue into the soil again, and immediately turned his fist into a palm, and a lightsaber shining with dark blue light appeared out of thin air. Yi Fan's eyes darkened and he kept waving the lightsaber. Suddenly, the light shone brightly, and Yi Fan was like a god descending to earth. The light faded, and all the limbs of Gedo statue had been cut off by Yi Fan, leaving only a small half of the body lingering. Nagato stared at this scene and spit out a large mouthful of blood. Looking at Yi Fan standing in midair like a god, Nagato gritted his teeth and prepared to fight to the death. As a flash of light flashed in Samsara's eyes, Gedo statue, who was only half length, opened his bloody mouth and spit out a chakra dragon that was far larger than its body size. The chakra dragon instantly enveloped Yi Fan, constantly tearing away the power in Yi Fan's body. Oh, this chakra dragon can actually suck the energy out of my body. Although it could only suck out the air in the body very slightly, Yi Fan was still a little surprised. After all, this is the first time he has encountered this situation since he came to this world. I didn't expect that Yi Fan's body actually contains such advanced power. This kind of power is far beyond what chakra can compare with. Nagato passed the Gedo statue and felt the power of chi for the first time. After sensing the terrifying power contained in chi, Nagato realized why Yi Fan was so powerful. While Nagato was shocked, only half of his body was left in Gedo statue, which was also recovering at an extremely fast speed. In just 2 or 3 seconds, Gedo statue was restored to its original state. Moreover, it seems to be much stronger than at the beginning. The chakra dragon was still absorbing the chi in Yi Fan's body, and it opened its third eye in the blink of an eye. Nagato felt all this and was shocked. He knew that Gedo statue's eyes could only open one for every tailed beast it absorbed, and now, the third eye could be opened before Yi Fan was sucked dry. Moreover, it seems that the mysterious power contained in Yi Fan's body can also allow Gedo statue to open more eyes. Thinking of this, Nagato couldn't help but be speechless and amazed. Judging from the current situation, the power contained in Yi Fan's body has far exceeded the sum of several tailed beasts. No, Mr. Yi Fan seems to be in danger. The monster has been absorbing the power in his body. Genshi Kisame frowned and immediately rushed to help Yi Fan. Kisame, wait a moment. Uchiha Itachi reached out and grabbed him. Mr. Weasel, if you let that monster drain Mr. Yi Fan's power, you will be in trouble. Kisame Kazaki spoke anxiously. Uchiha Itachi shook his head and signaled Kisame not to move for the time being. After opening Mangekyo Sharingan, he saw the mysterious power in Yi Fan's body for the first time. Although I don't know what it is, it can be clearly seen that the power contained in Yi Fan's body is far beyond what chakra can compare with. There seems to be a long distance between chakra and that mysterious power, and they are not on the same level. The reason why he stopped Kisame from taking action was because he saw that Yi Fan's strength had not decreased by half. The power in Yi Fan's body is as vast as the endless sea, and what is absorbed by Gedo statue is only a drop in the ocean. Mr. Itachi, do we really not need to take action? Kisame Inukasaki asked worriedly. Kisame, don't worry, Mark has his own sense of proportion, and that monster can't affect him at all. Itachi nodded with certainty. When Kisame heard this, his heart dropped a lot, and he continued to pay attention to Mark's situation. Chakra tied up Yi Fan and continued to absorb the chi from his body. Yi Fan felt the passing chi, glanced at Geto statue, which had opened its eighth eye, and said to himself in surprise. I didn't expect that my chi could have such an effect. If this continues, can 10 tails be completely resurrected? Yi Fan was a little confused about this question. Nagato felt the Geto statue getting stronger and stronger, and felt happy, with an extremely exaggerated smile on his face. Conan, did you see? I will avenge you right away. Moreover, I feel stronger than ever before. This feeling is really comfortable. In my current state, after killing Yi Fan, I can immediately use that technique to resurrect you and Yahiko. You wait for me, I will see you again soon, and then we can work together to change this world cursed by hatred. Nagato laughed maniacally, feeling extremely happy. He had not felt this feeling for many years. Use that technique to resurrect Conan and Yahiko. Yi Fan frowned slightly when he heard this. You are too naive. You can't use that technique indiscriminately. Yi Fan glanced at Geto statue, whose ninth eye was half opened, and smiled slightly. Since you want to eat my power so much, then I will let you eat as much as you can. Yi Fan clenched his hands into fists and slowly opened his half-covered eyes. His long black hair was beating at this moment. Ah! Yi Fan roared, and his whole body was filled with golden light. In an instant, the ground shook and the entire Yuyan village was shaking, as if a magnitude 8 earthquake had occurred. The moment Yi Fan exploded, Geto statue's ninth eye opened in a flash. A surge of majestic energy instantly penetrated Geto statue's body through the chakra dragon. The power in Geto statue's body reached an unprecedented peak at this moment. Even the once perfect 10 tails pales in comparison. Ha ha ha, Uchiha Yi Fan, are you crazy? Come on, continue to provide power for my Geto statue. Nagato laughed loudly and stared at Mark greedily. In order to prevent Yi Fan from breaking away from the chakra dragon, Nagato controlled all the chains in Geto statue and tied Yi Fan together. In an instant, the speed at which Geto statue absorbs energy increases tenfold. It's too powerful. This power is simply too powerful. Nagato was extremely happy. He felt that he could now control the Geto statue and conquer the entire ninja world with ease. Yi Fan looked at the chains around him and sneered. The chosen one who has inherited the will of Sage of Six Paths. I'm afraid you are too happy. Yi Fan roared and increased the power of his explosive energy. In an instant, more powerful energy surged into Geto statue's body. As this energy surged in, Geto statue's body began to expand. Nagato, who felt all this, suddenly realized a serious problem. The power contained in Yi Fan's body seemed to have far exceeded the limit that Geto statue could bear. Nagato immediately wanted to cut off the connection between Geto statue and Yi Fan, but it backfired. He found that no matter what he did, the chains and the chakra dragon could not leave Yi Fan's body. You can inhale my breath if you want to, but you can't inhale it if you don't want to. Yi Fan smiled coldly and continued to send majestic energy towards Geto statue. No, do not want. Nagato felt that the power in Geto statue's body had exceeded its limit too much and was close to exploding. Nagato, who was extremely panicked, immediately controlled the Geto statue and fired a tailed beast jade at Yi Fan, trying to stop Yi Fan in this way. But this is just a useless effort. Before tailed beast jade even got close to Yi Fan, it was shaken away by the energy escaping from his body. Ah! As Yi Fan roared, Geto statue was completely annihilated and turned into powder. Nagato was blown away by the aftermath, smashing into more than a dozen houses before he could stop. Puff! A mouthful of blood spurted out. Before the blood could fall to the ground, Yi Fan appeared in front of him and shattered his body with a punch. The blood mist dissipated, leaving only Yi Fan standing there with the Samsara eye. Capturing the angle at which Gaara came here, Hidan ran away quickly as if his soles were oiled when he saw this scene. Yi Fan glanced at them, and when he was about to catch up, the system's voice rang in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for preventing the regrets of the past life from happening. As a reward, you will get a spiritual time room and a bag of fairy beans. Note: a bag of fairy beans is 10. Spiritual time house, fairy beans. Yi Fan was slightly startled. These are all good things. Ever since his strength reached this level, he discovered a problem. No matter how hard he practiced, his strength always increased very slowly, and the effect was already minimal. Although it seems that he is invincible in the entire ninja world now, he is not sure whether he will encounter some opponents in the future that even he cannot defeat. If you really encounter it, there is nothing you can do. After all, things like time travel have happened, and it is not impossible for other things to happen. Itachi, Kisame, stop Kakuzu and Hidan. Yi Fan winked, and Uchiha Itachi and Mikigaki Kisame immediately ran over and blocked Kakuzu and the others. In order for that ideal country to appear, some obstacles must be cleared. After giving orders to Itachi and Kisame, Yi Fan carefully observed the functions of the spiritual time house and the sendo. Spiritual time house. The flow rate of time is different from that in the outside world. 1 year in the spiritual time house is equal to 1 day in the outside world. Restrictions. Only 5 people can enter at a time, and there is no upper limit on how long they can stay. Fairy beans. It can heal all injuries instantly. As long as you still have breath, you will immediately return to your peak condition after taking fairy beans. Restrictions. Useless for those who are on the verge of death due to illness. Well, the effect and function are very different from those seen in the previous life. Yi Fan nodded. He decided to enter the spiritual time room to practice from today to see if he could increase his combat power. I don't know how much combat power I have now. It would be great if I had a combat power detector. Yi Fan whispered and instantly appeared in front of Kakuzu and the others. As he passed by, he discovered one thing: Gaara was not dead. Geto statue did not seem to completely remove one-tail Shukaku from Gaara's body. This makes Yi Fan feel a little surprised. After all, he just lacks a sparring partner, and one-tail Shukaku seems to be a good choice. Hidan, it seems we have no way out. Kakuzu looked around and found that all escape routes were blocked. Hidan nodded and took out a sickle-shaped weapon, ready to take action at any time. He was still a little trembling in his heart. Although he was a madman, he was not a fool. With the strength shown by Yi Fan, it was very easy to handle them both. Mr. Yi Fan, what should we do with the 2 of them? Have they been killed? Mikigaki Kisame asked with a calm face, not taking the 2 of them seriously in his words. Uchiha Itachi's eyes also fell on Mark, waiting for Mark to speak. The reason why they just stopped Kakuzu and Hidan without taking action was because they considered that Yi Fan might need them to do something. Otherwise, Itachi would be sure to take down both of them in 1 round. He is still very confident in his pupil skills, not to mention that his pupil power today is far from what it used to be. Kill us, Kisame Kazaki, are you a little too confident? Kakuzu couldn't help feeling unhappy when he saw the disdainful expression on Kisami's face. I was someone who had fought against first Hokage Senju Hashirama, how could I be looked down upon by others? Kakuzu was not afraid of Kisame and Uchiha Itachi. The only one who made him feel unable to compete was Yi Fan. The invincible temperament in Yi Fan was something he had never felt before. Even when he faced the ninja god Senju Hashirama from a distance, he never felt this way. Watching the moment when Yi Fan instantly killed Nagato, Kakuzu had the illusion that even if Senju Hashirama faced Yi Fan, he would still be overwhelmed. Yi Fan looked up and down at Kakuzu, who threw a shuriken at the god of ninja from 800 miles away, and Hidan, who took pleasure in killing people and joined a cult organization. It seems that the strength of the 2 of them is not as strong as they imagined. And he looked very weak, so weak that Yi Fan didn't want to take action himself. However, after thinking about it, if he killed them, he would probably get a system reward. Yi Fan reluctantly said, if you 2 can take one of my moves, I will let you leave without stopping me. You. Who comes first? Yi Fan's calm eyes fell on them. Kakuzu and Hidan felt a chill down their spines when they met the gaze without any emotion. Even though they were all strong men who crawled out from the mountain of corpses and sea of blood, they couldn't help but feel panic at this moment. Facing Yi Fan, they had no idea at all. Have you decided who will come first? My patience is limited, Yi Fan said. That, Kakuzu thought for a moment and asked, Sir Yi Fan, can we resist? Ah, Yi Fan sneered when he heard this, waved his hands and said, whatever you want, you can do whatever you want. Okay, I'll go first. As soon as he finished speaking, Kakuzu immediately distanced himself from Yi Fan and attacked Yi Fan with all his strength. He thought to himself that with 5 hearts, he could barely take Mark's blow without dying. Yi Fan showed a hint of disdain at the corner of his mouth, raised his hand and shot out a wave of light, instantly drowning all Kakuzu's attacks and tearing Kakuzu's body apart. For an attack of this level, not to mention he only has 5 hearts, even 50 hearts are not enough. Hidan glanced at Kakuzu, who was reduced to ashes, and his facial muscles kept twitching. Doesn't anyone using ninjutsu use seals like Mativ? A ninjutsu of this level and with such powerful destructive power. Shocked, Hidan immediately raised his sickle to sneak attack Yi Fan. We got it. Hidan looked at the sickle falling on Yi Fan's back, and was extremely surprised. But before he could be happy for even half a second, endless fear surged into his heart. I saw that as soon as the invincible sickle touched Yi Fan's body, it immediately broke into several pieces and fell to the ground with a clang. Hidan looked at the scythe that was broken into several pieces, his throat rolled up, he took a breath of cold air, and felt what true despair was. Young man, you don't have martial ethics, sneak attack, lie, I am only a 13-year-old child. Mark turned around slowly, stretched out his right hand and pressed it on Hidan's forehead. For a moment, Hidan panicked, cold sweat broke out on his back, and his limbs were trembling. After seeing Yi Fan's strength, he didn't think that his immortal body could really make him immortal. Mr. Yi Fan, don't do anything. I will only obey you from now on. You are the god I believe in. Feeling the threat of death, Hidan, a man who claimed to be not afraid of death, began to get scared. Yi Fan's expression showed no change when he heard this. I said one move, just one move. A thick beam of light suddenly lit up, and Hidan's body and soul disappeared into the world, as if they had never appeared before. Along with it, there was a deep trench that was more than 10 meters wide and whose length was unknown. Ding! The sound of the system came as promised. Obito and Black Zetsu, who were hiding in Kamui space and watching the whole process, silently closed the space rift completely at this time. The reincarnation eye may be out of the question for the time being. Heiju sighed. Uchiha Obito nodded. Let's go to Konoha to get my other eye first. As soon as he finished speaking, Obito's figure appeared on the Hokage rock in Konoha village. Congratulations to host for killing Hidan, saving Asuma's life, and getting a coat. Note: the coat weighs 100 tons. The mechanical voice sounded in Yi Fan's mind. Hearing this reward, Yi Fan felt happy. He was worried about how to improve his strength. This piece of clothing and the spiritual time room are simply a timely rein that solves the current dilemma of too slow improvement in strength. Does the host choose to wear it? Yes. As soon as Yi Fan's voice fell, a scarlet coat immediately replaced the old clothes and was draped on him. The size of the coat is just right, as if it was tailor-made. Just as he put on his coat, the ground collapsed instantly, and Yi Fan's body was pressed to the ground. Cough. The sudden pressure made him not so adaptable. Enemy attack. Seeing this, Kisame Kazaki immediately looked around. Mr. Yi Fan, are you okay? I'm fine. Yi Fan waved his hands stiffly, with 100 tons of clothes weighing on his body. Yi Fan felt that every movement was so strenuous. I just put on this dress and haven't gotten used to it yet. Then, are you injured, Mr. Yi Fan? Kisame quickly ran over and wanted to help Mark up. However, something happened that surprised him. No matter how hard he tried, he could not help Yi Fan up. Yi Fan's body seemed to have taken root on the ground and could not be shaken. Uchiha Itachi on the side also discovered this problem. He stared at Yi Fan's new clothes, feeling so incredible. Is this happening because of that dress? If so, how much does the dress weigh? After adapting for a while, Yi Fan slowly stood up. Although his movements were a little stiff, he was still able to do so freely. It is really difficult to carry such heavy clothes with only physical strength. Yi Fan muttered to himself, and slowly took out the Samsara eye and handed it to Uchiha Itachi. This pair of reincarnation eyes is left to you. You must keep it well. It is a vital part if you want to resurrect my parents and others. Hearing this, Kisame Mikigaki came over and looked at it carefully. Mr. Yi Fan, do you mean that these eyes of reincarnation hide the ability to resurrect others? Yi Fan nodded and said with a smile, the abilities of the Samsara Eye are far more than what Nagato has mastered. Speaking of which, Nagato has only mastered some superficial skills. Moreover, do you know whose eyes these reincarnation eyes belong to? When Itachi and Kisame heard this, they were shocked. Could it be that these Samsara eyes did not belong to Nagato Uzumaki? Yi Fan glanced at their surprised looks and said slowly, the Samsara Eye is actually the final form of Sharingan evolution, and it was not born with Nagato at all. This pair of Samsara eyes was actually transplanted into Nagato by Uchiha Madara when he was a child. What? Itachi and Kisame were shocked when they heard this, and were very curious about where Yi Fan knew these things. Yi Fan seems to know the secrets of many people, and he seems to have seen them with his own eyes. So, these Samsara eyes actually belong to Madara? Uchiha Itachi asked. Yes, Yi Fan nodded. Madara is playing a big chess game that the whole world cannot imagine. Uchiha Madara, is it true that he is not dead? Kisame exclaimed. Yi Fan shook his head. If you died long ago, you will naturally know these things by then. After pondering for a moment, he continued, you should stay in Yuyan village for the time being and tidy up the places that need to be tidied up. Yi Fan patted the two of them on the shoulders and walked straight towards Gaara. After mentioning Gaara, Yi Fan's figure disappeared from the sight of Itachi and Kisame, and entered the spiritual time room. This time, he planned to stay in the spiritual time room for 30 years. During these 30 years, One-Tail Shukaku was his sparring partner. Entering the spiritual time room, Yi Fan generously fed Gaara a fairy bean. After taking the senzu beans, Gaara's condition immediately returned to its peak state, and Shukaku's chakra was also fully restored. As soon as Gaara opened his eyes, he was almost scared to death and backed away repeatedly. Don't be afraid. In the coming days, we will stay together every day. Yi Fan showed a harmless smile on his face. Can't sit still. Gaara gradually came out of his fear, regained his confidence, and immediately began to transform into a tailed beast. In the following period, One-Tail Shukaku's screams often sounded in the spiritual time room. The red sun slowly set behind the horizon, and the last trace of the setting sun also appeared on the horizon. Konoha Village, Uchiha Obito sat on the 4th Hokage rock for most of the day. Obito, how do you feel when you return to this place after so many years? Heiju asked, with most of his body buried in the soil and only his head outside. Uchiha Obito glanced at him. I don't feel anything at all. I just feel that these people are too ignorant. Heiju nodded and agreed with his words, only you can save ignorant humans. Uchiha Obito sighed, took out a bouquet of flowers picked at an unknown time, and slowly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already at the Konoha Mausoleum. Uchiha Obito walked straight to a corner and stopped in front of Nohara Rin's tombstone. Lin, I'm here to see you. Obito's voice was trembling, and he touched the tombstone very gently, with a layer of mist forming in his eyes. Glancing at the flowers that had just been placed on the tombstone, Obito kicked them away and then neatly arranged the flowers in his hands. Lin, this world is already hopeless, but I happened to meet a person who said big things and wanted to change the world. Obito leaned against the tombstone and muttered to himself. Lin, the person who stopped me from creating a perfect world is very powerful. My current strength has no way to compete with her. But, you have to believe me, no matter who blocks my way, I will definitely kill them. Lin, just wait a moment and I'll see you soon. I will create a world without strife and war. I will create a world, with you. Uchiha Obito leaned against the tombstone, feeling a long-lost tranquility in his heart. After a long time, Obito slowly opened his eyes. The blood-red Sharingan seemed to be imprinted in the night sky. Lin, the next time we meet, we won't meet in this way. Uchiha Obito's figure slowly disappeared and appeared outside a brightly lit window. Inside the window, Kakashi was leaning on the windowsill and watching the lovemaking paradise. After feeling the strange movement in the outside world, Kakashi closed the intimacy paradise and slowly revealed the Sharingan. Who are you? What are your intentions when you appear in Konoha at night? Haha, he is indeed the famous clone ninja in the ninja world, Hatake Kakashi. His sense of smell is really sensitive. Uchiha Obito sat casually on the roof and looked up at the window. Facing this former best friend, Obito felt completely unmoved and even wanted to kill him directly. You are Akatsuki's person. Kakashi opened the window, looked at the mysterious man wearing a mask, and stood ready. No one in the Akatsuki organization is a good person. What are your intentions in coming to Konoha? Kakashi shouted angrily and quickly approached Obito, blocking his way. When Kakashi saw clearly the Sharingan hidden under the mask, he was restless and extremely surprised. For a time, countless questions came to my mind. Is he from the Uchiha clan? No. Impossible, there can't be anyone else in the Uchiha clan out there, he must just be a transplanted Sharingan. After examining it for a while, Kakashi asked again. Who are you, and where did your Sharingan come from? Hearing this question, Obito couldn't help laughing. Ha ha ha. Who am I? Where does my Sharingan come from? Obito raised his head and stared hard at Kakashi. The blood-red Sharingan looked very oozing under the moonlight. How long has it been, and the kiddos of Konoha no longer recognize me, Uchiha Madara? What? Impossible, Madara has been dead for a long time. Who are you? How dare you pretend to be Uchiha Madara? Kakashi was shocked. Although he didn't believe it, he also knew that the person who dared to call himself Uchiha Madara could never be just an ordinary person. Kakashi, today I represent the Uchiha clan to take back your Sharingan. That Sharingan has been following you for so long, and it can be considered that it has exhausted its benevolence. Quote. Uchiha Obito was still sitting casually on the roof, not paying any attention to Kakashi who was 1 meter away. Today's Obito is no longer the weakling who was at the mercy of Kakashi. Kakashi's eyes darkened when he heard this. Over the years, countless people have beaten him Sharingan, and they all ended in failure. Hearing this, he was not surprised. From the moment this mysterious man came to find him, he had vaguely guessed about it. No matter who you are, since you have come to Konoha, don't leave. I will take you down and wait for Tsunade-sama to come back and decide for yourself. Kakashi quickly formed a seal, and in the blink of an eye he held a ball of shining thunder and lightning in his palm. The surrounding air seemed to be filled with paralysis at this moment. Reikiri! Kakashi shouted, and instantly approached Obito, and the lightning in his hand also cut towards Obito's heart. When the lightning just touched Obito's chest, it penetrated instantly as if it was struck in the air. Because the speed was too fast, the inertia prevented Kakashi from stopping immediately, and Reikiri hit the roof hard. In an instant, more than half of the roof was blown apart by powerful force. Rolling smoke and dust filled the surrounding area along with a huge noise. You should have been hit obviously, why is this happening? Kakashi realized the seriousness of the matter and immediately wanted to leave the area quickly. But before he could move, an iron chain wrapped around his body. As the chains contracted tighter and tighter, Kakashi felt like he could hardly breathe. The famous clone ninja Hitaki Kakashi is nothing more than that. Obito slowly turned around and swung his hand towards Kakashi's Sharingan. As soon as his arm reached halfway, Obito felt a sharp pain in his hand, and the surrounding space was also distorted to a certain extent. I didn't expect you to master Kamui. Obito thought to himself and quickly made his body disappear. Taking advantage of this moment, Kakashi broke free from the chains and quickly distanced himself from Obito. Ha! 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 Kakashi, with bloodstains hanging from the corners of his eyes, was half kneeling on the eaves of another room, breathing heavily. He just used Reikiri, and then used Kamui in succession, which consumed a lot of his chakra. Obito looked at Kakashi who was struggling and smiled disdainfully. Haha, you are not from the Uchiha tribe, Sharingan seems to be putting a lot of pressure on you. Kakashi stared at the masked man not far away, frowning. From that round, he dared to conclude that the masked man must be a survivor of the Uchiha clan. Otherwise, it would be impossible to use Sharingan so easily. For a moment, Kakashi's mind was in a mess, filled with countless questions. Is his Sharingan ability to virtualize his body? Kakashi thought to himself, and immediately threw out a dozen kunai with detonating talismans. Just as he guessed, the endless suffering passed through the masked man's body without causing any harm to him at all. Boom! A dozen kunai with detonating talismans instantly razed a house to the ground. The huge noise attracted the attention of people around him. After hearing the sound that echoed in his ears, Metkai immediately looked to where the sound came from. That is Kakashi's house. Metkai realized that the matter was not simple, and immediately rushed towards Kakashi's residence. Uchiha Obito glanced at the ninjas coming from all directions and decided to fight quickly. If all the ninjas from Konoha arrive, it will not be that simple to get Sharingan back. Obito formed seals quickly, and Kakashi saw this and imitated his movements with Sharingan. Fire style, the fire is extinguished. Fire style, the fire is extinguished. The two shouted in unison. In an instant, two fires collided together, seeming to ignite the surrounding night sky. HMPH. Obito sneered, and the fire style instantly overwhelmed Kakashi's fire style. Kakashi, who consumes a lot of chakra, is simply not comparable to Obito, who is in good condition. Kakashi watched the fire rushing toward him and quickly tried to avoid it. As soon as he escaped from the flames, the masked man immediately appeared beside him. Reikiri. Kakashi had no choice and immediately used his strongest ninjutsu attack to drive the masked man away. However, just like the previous times, Reikiri once again penetrated the masked man's body. Kakashi, you really deserve your reputation. A voice rang in Kakashi's ears. His staggering body was lifted up by the masked man, and then a big hand quickly waved towards his Sharingan. Your body will only materialize at the moment you attack. Kakashi's pupils shrank rapidly, and he finally figured out the masked man's ability. Kakashi, you understand too late. The masked man grabbed hard with his palm and pulled out Kakashi's Sharingan, causing blood to spatter on the floor. Ah! The severe pain made Kakashi couldn't help but scream, covering his eyes and kneeling on the ground with a very painful expression. Obito looked at the blood-stained Sharingan in his hands, with a smile on his lips. Konoha's powerful whirlwind. Just then, Metkai arrived. Metkai struck with all his strength and swept towards Obito's chest. Boom! The strong wind shattered two houses before it could stop. But, even so, it still didn't cause any harm to Obito. Metkai watched his feet penetrate Obito's body with his own eyes, his brows furrowed and his face became unusually solemn. What is going on? My attacks seem to have no effect on him. Metkai didn't have time to think about anything and immediately ran to Kakashi's side. Kakashi, are you okay? Your eyes. Metkai looked at the dying Kakashi and felt heartbroken. It's all my fault. If I had come earlier, you would have. Kai, the masked man's ability is very strange. His body will only materialize when he attacks. Kakashi spoke weakly and told Metkai all the information at once. He knew that if he didn't tell Kai this information in time, even Kai would suffer a big loss. Medical class, medical class. Metkai nodded and shouted quickly. As his shouts fell, other ninjas from Konoha also arrived one after another. Hyuga clan, Aburame clan, Akamaiki clan, Nara clan. Most of the high-level combat forces in Konoha village have almost all arrived here. After the medical team quickly bandaged Kakashi, Kakashi immediately told everyone the information they obtained. After everyone learned about the strange ability of the masked man, their faces became extremely solemn. Judging from the known intelligence, if the masked man did not take the initiative to attack them, they would have no choice but to watch the masked man leave. Uchiha Obito glanced at the 30 or 40 ninjas gathered around him, with a calm expression on his face, not taking them seriously at all. Minding his own business, he placed the newly obtained Sharingan in his eyes. The moment Sharingan returned to his position, Obito felt an unprecedented power, roaming over every inch of his body. This feeling made him very happy. Obito opened his eyes suddenly, and saw two Mangekyo Sharingan shining with dazzling light. At this moment, he felt that all his abilities had been greatly improved. The body that could only be dematerialized for 5 minutes was now doubled to 10 minutes. In just a few seconds, he also figured out what the other Mangekyo Sharingan was capable of. The other Sharingan can not only transmit things from the outside world directly into Kamui space, but can also use space distortion to break objects. What a wonderful feeling! Uchiha Obito breathed a long sigh of relief, his eyes filled with confidence. In his current opinion, these people in front of him are just a bunch of chickens and dogs. When Heiju in the distance saw this scene, a smile appeared on his lips. It seems to be going well. I wonder who is stronger, Obito, who has double Mangekyo, or Itachi. With a low murmur, Black Zetsu continued to stare intently at Obito's situation. He wanted to see how strong Obito was now. Now, can Obito have a fight with Yi Fan? Obito, who was completely accustomed to the two Mangekyo Sharingan, glanced at everyone with disdain, raised his right hand and hooked it, and said contemptuously. Those who want to fight don't have to queue up, let's all join together. Arrogant, you are looking for death. Obito's words angered most of the people. After all, they were also prominent families in Konoha village, and they all had their own pride. But now, being looked down upon by someone like this makes me feel very unhappy. Who does the masked man think he is? Is he Yi Fan? How dare you speak to them in this tone? Everyone did not hesitate and immediately threw 500 to 600 kunai towards the masked man. Looking at the kunai flying in the sky, Obito stood motionless. When the kunai fell on him, it completely penetrated his body. The faces of the ninjas who witnessed this scene changed greatly. Although I had heard Kakashi say this before, when I saw it with my own eyes, I was so shocked. Some ninjas didn't believe this evil and kept attacking Obito with ninjutsu. Water style, fire style, lightning style, earth style. The dazzling ninjutsu keeps killing the masked man. All kinds of ninjutsu, still as before, all penetrated Obito's body. Not even a hair was lost. Not only that, the powerful ninjutsu also hurt many of his own people. Like ants, Obito snorted coldly and used the ability of his left eye. A flash of cold light flashed, and 7 or 8 Konoha village ninjas were instantly cut into pieces by 5 horses, with blood splattering every step of the way. This scene shocked everyone. 7 or 8 Jonin were killed in one blow. This level of power made them feel that the masked man's strength was so unfathomable. At this moment, a black shadow, hidden in the night, instantly restrained the masked man. It's done. Nara was delighted and said hurriedly, Hiyashi. After hearing this, Hyuga Hiyashi, who turned on his Byakugan, immediately ran towards the masked man and used gentle fist on him. When the first punch hit, it penetrated the masked man's body. No, I was fooled. He was not controlled by Nara Shikaku's shadow imitation technique at all. Hyuga Hiyashi immediately realized the problem and wanted to leave quickly. Just as he retreated, Obito stepped out of the shadow range and punched Hyuga Hiyashi in the face. The powerful force immediately knocked Hyuga Hiyashi dozens of meters away and hit the house hard. Didn't Kakashi say that when the masked man attacks, his body will materialize? Why didn't he control him just now? Is it because the masked man just used eye power? Nara Shikaku quickly analyzed the situation. The other ninjas also swarmed up at this moment. Although there are many of them, they are no match for the masked man. Obito can hit them, but they don't have the speed to hit Obito. This made them very angry. In just a few rounds, the Konoha ninjas killed more than a dozen people. Do the so-called Jonin of Konoha, the so-called strong men of famous families, only have the skills of a 3-legged cat? Uchiha Obito laughed and mocked everyone. Although everyone was dissatisfied, they were powerless. You all stand down, masked man, and leave it to Konoha's blue beast. Metkai took a step forward. He had figured out some things in the previous confrontation. As long as the attack speed is faster, you will definitely be able to hit the masked man. Everyone looked at each other in confusion after hearing this, and after exchanging glances, they took Kakashi and distanced themselves from the masked man. Without any hesitation, Metkai directly opened the 6th gate of 8 Gates Dunjia, Gate of View. Oh, 8 Gates Dunjia. Obito felt the aura coming from Kai's body and became a little interested. Come on, let me see if the 8 Gates Dunjia is worthy of its reputation. Obito raised his fingers. Metkai frowned and rushed towards the masked man at an extremely fast speed. The friction between his fist and the air produced a large amount of flames. Obito smiled disdainfully and let Kai's fist pass through his body. As soon as it passed through the body, Obito launched a counterattack and punched Metkai in the head. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.